Hey everyone, this is Clifford Close of Podwood Forecast fame. Just wanted to let you know, thanks, first of all, thanks for listening, and also what you are listening to right now. We have released this lost episode that was previously not available anywhere except for SoundCloud, and now we've taken it off SoundCloud and we're releasing it to the world. And one of the original episodes that we did of the Podwood Forecast years ago. And what you are listening to right now is the unedited, uncut version of that episode. You'll be listening to it as it was, as we released it like 5 years ago, aside from the little introduction that present day Mitchell and I give and the afterthoughts that we give after the episode. But otherwise, you're going to listen to the unedited version of that episode. So if you were actually more interested in checking out the newer edited version that I made recently because I was bored, where it features clips of the music that we're talking about in the episode, you can go check that one out. Just go back to our podcast page on wherever you listen to the podcast, and it'll be on there because we're releasing both of those versions at the same time. So yeah, if you want to check that out, you can. Otherwise, you can enjoy this show as well. And speaking of which, enjoy the show.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. We need more white guys giving their insight on things they don't understand. Podwood Forecast. They're like, Mom! You got the iPad!
I recently rewatched the first Avatar.
How did it hold up?
It doesn't. Okay,
Hello?
we're good. Hello?
Hello?
Is anyone there?
I always think of the
Who is
vine
this?
of the girl getting water poured on her face and she's just like, hello?
Yeah.
That's the cadence. Every time I say hello, I always give it that cadence now. Hello?
Hello?
Literally.
I think I came across that one recently. I totally forgot about that one. It's a
so
classic
good.
though. She gets water poured on her, and she's she's sleeping, and then her friends pour water on her, and she's waking up with water in her face. It's
They poured on her for
hello?
a whole second before she even moves. I'm like, dang.
In all honesty, that's probably something that I would do.
Yeah.
So
Someone
think
poured
about it.
water
You're
on me when I
all
was asleep.
disoriented, and you're waking up.
Yeah, it's just hello? It's always man, that's how I would react to that, probably. Speaking of react.
Speaking of react,
There's your segue, my dude.
yeah. So this is a special episode. Also, hi everyone. This is the Podwood Forecast.
Hello.
Good to see you. Good to see you all. It's St. Patrick's Day currently for us.
It is.
I'm wearing green, but I just like wearing green anyways. So good news. We had a little bit of a task for our listeners, and it was a lot of fun. And so we had a sort of goal for people to reach. And we did a similar thing to the last time that we did a lost episode, where this time around we asked if we could get up to 200 members on our Facebook community group. And we really tried hard. I'm going to give it to everyone. We really tried our best. Got just a little over 150. And it was just, it just kind of got to a point where it was like, you know what? I think we've probably reached our limit for now. I think people have tried their best to invite people. I've tried my best, but there's not much more we can do.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I actually just really want to release this stuff.
Right.
I know maybe some people don't care, but I'm in a super nostalgic phase lately in my life.
Yeah.
So I'm I want to share this kind of stuff. So let's just add on a little bit of a parlay to it, I guess. And so
Parlay.
lately, Anchor has allowed us to see the amount of Spotify listeners that we followers that we have on Spotify. So we were at 25. So I was like, okay, if we can get up to 30 followers on Spotify, then we'll release the lost episode. And we did. Thanks to you guys. We reached that goal, and so now here it is, the lost episode. And
yeah.
Mitchell,
it was lost, but now it's found.
Amazing Grace. The Lord is good. I just like how you're just kind of chiming in because you're very focused on what you're doing on your phone. You're like, yeah,
I'm going through all the
cool
the releases from 2017 to
Yeah.
make so I can like mention anything I've listened to since this episode.
Right, yeah.
Which I feel like I'm finding a lot that I probably didn't mention. In
Oh,
this. And
sure,
now I'm like,
yeah.
ooh, it's gonna be interesting. But I'm seeing a lot that I definitely did.
Yeah.
But I'm curious. I have no idea what I ranked things at the time though.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that. So basically, just to explain what this lost episode is, and if you haven't listened to our last one that we did, go check that out. Because for those of you who don't know, me and Mitchell actually attempted to start Podwood Forecast years ago. I think it's been about like 5 years. I think since we did that.
Definitely, it's been quite a few years for sure.
So, and initially, what the purpose of the Podwood Forecast was back then was, me and Mitchell were in a band, Sherwood Forest, and we realized that we like to talk a lot. And we're like, why don't we, that's always the birth of any podcast. Like, we like to talk a lot and we have opinions about stuff. Let's start a podcast.
People need to hear this, dude.
It's so important. But we're like, hey, maybe like the small bit of fans that we have would be interested in like a Sherwood Forest podcast.
Right.
So that's basically what it was originally, just a chance for like me and Mitchell, and maybe even, I think we thought that maybe other members of the band could join if they wanted to, but just be like a sort of thing that we record where we talk about things more related to the band.
It was going to be very strictly music focused, and it was kind of like an extension of the podcast we were like hired for free.
Yeah, for Talk the Pulse.
Yeah. It was essentially an extension of that when that ended, because we were like, it was fun. We still want to do it.
We started Podwood Forecast before Talk the Pulse.
Oh, we did? Okay.
And that's why we started to do Talk the Pulse, because we're like, hey, we're good at podcasting, I guess.
Right, yeah.
So Podwood Forecast was kind of like, and if you listen to the last Lost episode, we talk more about like our favorite experiences at shows that we had and like a bunch of other random stuff, but mostly all having to do with the band. And I remember it was that night we decided to do another episode. So what you're going to hear in this episode is basically from that same night, our episode 2. And we just decided to talk about our favorite music from that year, which happened to be 2017. Well, we recorded it in 2018, but we were talking about, like what we do now, but just a little bit more loosey-goosey back then.
We were less, not that we're like incredibly structured now, but we were definitely less structured then.
Yeah, definitely. And, now whenever we do our top 10 lists or whatever, we have like I'm going to say my number 10 and I'm going to say my number 10 and so on and so forth. Back then we're just like, I'm just going to mention a few right now and then you mention a few, so it's a little bit all over the place. So we just kind of wanted to record this little intro to just kind of preface everything. And then we're going to come back at the end. And I've listened to the episode and I've written down what we talked about in the episode, and I'm going to read it to Mitchell. Sweet. And we're both going to kind of react to that because I'm not going to make Mitchell listen to an hour-long episode. So this episode was actually the original title for this episode was called Go to Walmart.
Oh, yeah, we always had our funny little kind of titles.
Yeah, the one before this was Whipped Cream Only. And this one was called Go to Walmart because that's apparently something that you and your sisters say instead of go to hell. It's go to Walmart.
Right. Yeah.
You remember that? Yeah. It's also, I have an appreciation for this episode because there's a moment in here where I make you laugh probably the hardest that I've ever heard you laugh at one of my jokes. It's at the beginning, but you're like, so what are we going to talk about today, Clifford? And I'm just like, we're going to talk about gun control.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And you were just so taken aback by it. And you laughed so hard.
I'm a giggly boy.
Yeah, we were both very giggly back then.
We were.
We had a lot of energy back then. We were
so happy back then.
Yeah, such an innocent time. But I'm trying to think if there's anything else to mention before we just go ahead.
I think that sums it up. I think I've found anything from that year that I would like to mention if I didn't in this.
Okay.
I'm really curious to see what I mentioned.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then we'll just let you guys go ahead and enjoy this episode. Enjoy listening to us 5 years younger, so innocent back then. I guess I should re-mention, like, we only did 2 of these episodes, and then we realized that SoundCloud had a limit to like how much you can upload without having to pay for like the premium membership or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And then so we just kind of stopped it, and then we started doing Talk the Pulse, which I think it would be fun to do a Talk the Pulse lost episode sometime. But
yeah,
more
true.
about that later. You know, we got this goal. Thank you guys again so much for that, and we'll listen to this episode, and then present Mitchell and I will be back at the end for some spicy reactions.
Sounds good. Sorry, I just remembered a dream I had last night.
Yeah.
It just made me laugh.
You want to tell us about it?
Should I? I'll say it. It's weird.
Go for it.
It's really weird.
Sure, yeah. I love hearing
Possibly
about dreams.
Uncomfortable.
Okay.
I don't know why it just came back to me. A dream I had last night. I had a dream I was at a party and Aaron Weiss from Me Without You showed up.
Oh, of course.
And he was like really out of it. And he came up to me and was just like, it would be really funny if we just like kissed right now. And I was like, Aaron.
Aaron,
and he was
stop.
like, come on, dude, it'd be so funny.
Okay.
And I like just left. And I went home.
You left the party?
Like, and I was like, why did the singer of my favorite band just try to kiss me? I was so confused and like weird. And then I went home.
Oh, so you didn't like it? You didn't want him to kiss you?
In the dream, I was just confused. Because I was like, is he drunk? I don't know how I should handle this situation. I just panicked and left.
It was a little weird, yeah.
I don't know why that came back to my brain. I was like, oh yeah, Aaron tried to kiss me in a dream last night.
Of course you would dream that.
Yeah, I would. I was listening to Me Without You that day, so.
Of course. Yeah. You listen to them every day.
Yeah, I do.
Anyway, speaking of music, let's listen to our music opinions of 5 years ago.
Yeah.
We've obviously not changed a bit. Just kidding. I think we've changed a lot. But we'll talk about that. Enjoy this episode, and we'll be right back.
Goodbye. Podwood Forecast. It's a Short Forest podcast. Don't do that. Podwood Forecast.
We're recording now.
Episode 2.
We've been recording podcasts for too long, obviously.
Yeah, true. Wow, episode 2 already.
Wow,
already,
dude. I remember
episode
our first
1
episode
like it was 10 minutes ago.
No, dude. Well, I don't know how we're gonna space these out, if at all.
1 a year.
In that case, considering how long local bands tend to stay together,
yeah,
we'll only have one podcast.
We're screwed. I'm gonna be sick of you by next week.
Anyways,
welcome
back
to the Podwood.
To the Podcast Wood.
Wow, that was horrible.
What?
It's okay.
Did I say it wrong?
No.
You
didn't at all. It's
the Forwood cast.
The short foot pod foot.
Foot.
Welcome back to Feet.
We are Short Foot.
And this is our podcast.
This is
where we talk about music and get sidetracked. We're going to
confuse everyone. The Podwood Forecast.
Welcome back to the Podwood Forecast, episode 2.
Good to see you all.
February 16th, 2018.
It is February
That's not
16th.
when it'll be posted, but that's when we're recording it.
No, of course not.
So,
Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah.
It's 2019.
This will be up in like August.
I'm going to steal these skills.
How freaking dare you?
Anyways,
what are we going to talk about today, Clifford?
We're going to talk about gun control.
Oh my God, no! What a great topic for a music podcast.
Hey, just because we're musicians doesn't mean that we can't get political.
Our opinions mean nothing. We're musicians.
We have a stage.
We're not smart.
We have a spotlight, and we should use it. Just kidding. That was a
joke in reference to something we were talking about earlier.
Yep. Don't get into it.
No, I'm just gonna say. I posted an article that had to do with that on Facebook, and then people, got into it in the comments.
It's Facebook, man. What do you expect?
Yeah, what do you expect?
If I went on Facebook and said, man, Coke is so much better than Pepsi, I would have someone comment on it and be like, well, you're just not experienced enough with Pepsi to appreciate it. Okay?
I honestly think that
Coke is used to clean cars.
I honestly think that most people would be like, yeah, who cares? No one cares about Coke or Pepsi anymore.
I know. No. Well, I also, unfriend people who would post garbage on my stuff like that. So
wow.
I've never had Facebook
Just because
drama.
they have a different opinion than you?
Yeah. If you don't agree with me, go to Walmart. That's what I say instead of go to hell. I say go to Walmart. Because Walmart is worse than hell. Anyways, Walmart sells music, and you know what else they sell? They sell albums.
Wow.
Segue.
What?
Let's talk about our
segue.
Let's talk about our favorite music of 2017.
Yes, because we're a little late on this, but
I mean it's early 2018 right now.
It's true. And I already made a whole post about it. I think I have it written down in my notes.
I had a list, an actual list typed out a while ago.
I do.
Yeah, you have your thing on Facebook, you made your reviews and stuff.
Yeah, but I still have it written down because
nice.
I still haven't written all my reviews yet.
I hope I
need to write my one for the Foo Fighters.
I don't think I have.
How do we want to do this? Do you want me to just read off my list or just not do that?
How about we don't plan our structure, by the way. We just wing it. Let's do...
Sorry, burp.
We don't have to go in any particular... Let's not do a top 10. Let's not go from worst to best. Let's just... If you think of an album...
Let's
just talk about it. So you think of an album and talk about it, and then I'll think of one.
I want to know, what do you think was your least favorite album? What was your letdown for 2017?
Well, there's a difference between, least favorite or my most disappointed.
Most disappointed.
Most disappointing. Because my least favorite album last year was probably... I mean, if I know I'm not going to like an album, I'm not going to listen to it. So I don't really have any albums I hated. But in terms of an album I did listen to and I just, couldn't stand it, was probably... what was it? I can't even remember right now. It was I think it was that Lil Pump guy who did the Gucci Gang song. I couldn't stand that.
Oh.
It was a mixtape album.
You actually listened to that?
Unfortunately.
Oh, wow.
I didn't listen to all of it, but I listened to some of it. I just wasn't into it.
Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang,
Yeah,
Gucci
a lot of
Gang.
people get super catchy, and it kind of is, but it annoyed me. But my most disappointed was, which this is going to imply I don't like it, because I do, and you know what I'm about to say.
Yeah, I do.
Was Humans by Gorillaz.
And which is funny because
I like that album a lot.
When it first came out, you were like, "Oh, Clifford,
I was obsessed with it.
This is my second favorite."
I overhyped
album.
It.
Yeah,
I thought it was my second favorite Gorillaz album for a while. I overhyped it, but that was the problem. I got way too excited, and the excitement shrouded any logic I had while listening to it. Not to say it's illogical to enjoy it.
It was the first Gorillaz album in years.
Yeah. And to be fair, I I know this is a song you don't really like that much, but my favorite song on the album was Charger.
I'm okay with Charger.
That's actually in my top 10 favorite Gorillaz songs now.
Huh.
There was, the singles they released were amazing. When the songs on there were good, they were as good as Gorillaz has ever been, but there was way more average songs, and there was even a couple I actually just straight up didn't like.
There was a lot of experimentation on that album.
Yeah. It was an experiment. It was experimental, but with one sound, and that was my problem, was that a lot of the songs sounded... Because Gorillaz is usually, they mix up their style a lot between each song. This one's kind of more hip-hop, this one's got a bit of an alternative rock feel, and this one... But this album was all, house music, and none of it was super distinct, except for, Charger. I felt like Charger was the most unique one. And I love that song, even though it's super repetitive. It's just fun to listen to.
Yeah.
And when they had good songs there, like Andromeda, Let me open up the album so I can list my favorites real quick.
Saturn's Bars.
Saturn's
is my
Bar,
favorite.
all the singles they released beforehand, I really liked.
I'm finding that I'm finding new favorite songs now.
Yeah.
I didn't really care about before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I gotta go back to the album.
Here,
myself,
I'm gonna list
actually.
off my favorite songs from it.
Like-
I'll list my favorite songs, ones I kind of liked, average ones, and then ones I didn't like. So ones I really liked were Saturn's Bars, Charger, Andromeda, Busted in Blue, Let Me Out, She's My Caller, and then if we want to include the bonus tracks, I'll put in Out of Body and Ticker Tape as well. So those are songs I really liked.
Oh, yeah,
Which is
I
a
forgot
decent
about
amount.
those.
I don't care for any of the interludes. They were stupid. Average ones that were like...
I like the nonconformist oath.
That was funny, yeah. The average ones that were like, okay, but I usually just skip were... These were like good ones. Like, I'll listen to them, but it's like whatever. Ascension, Strobe Light, Moments. Let's see. Hallelujah Money, We Got the Power, and then Circle of Friends. Ones I disliked somewhat were going through the list here. Submission.
What? You don't like Submission?
Submission was so average to me, and I didn't like Danny. I don't really like Danny Brown. Like, I liked it at first,
I've
but
come
then
to really
I
like
just
that track.
I liked the
I didn't
first
really
half.
care about it at first.
I just
but
didn't like Danny Brown. Like, I just didn't like his part.
I don't know.
I would have liked it a lot more without that. It didn't flow very well, like, into that part. Carnival was annoying and repetitive. Sex Murder Party was probably the worst song on the album, in my opinion. It was so... let's see. And then The Apprentice was like, okay, I actually kind of dig that one. Halfway to the Halfway House was actually... No, Halfway to the Halfway House was the worst one.
Yeah.
And then I think that was it. I might have missed a couple, but overall, it had more songs I liked than disliked. But every Gorillaz album, there was never a Gorillaz album where it had a song that I disliked. The first time I disliked a Gorillaz song was on Plastic Beach, and that was what was it? I gotta find that one now, but I can't remember the name of it right now. But
So forgettable.
I think it was Sweepstakes. I don't like.
Oh yeah,
that's
that's
like
weird
a
one.
annoying song to me. But other than that, I love that whole album. And then Demon Days, D-sides, and their debut are just all perfect, basically.
Yeah. Demon Days is my favorite album.
Their debut
From
is
them.
my favorite, and then D-sides and Demon Days are like basically tied.
Yeah.
Plastic Beach is great, and then Humans was like a 6.5 out of 10 album for me, if I had to give it a number.
Yeah.
But again, it had Charger, and that became in my top 10 favorite Gorillaz songs. So it still had quality to it, but it was disappointing. That was a very long answer to that question. I could talk about. We could just make this whole podcast about Gorillaz easily, but I'm not going to do that.
I want to break that up. I just saw on Facebook, Denim Dragon is releasing their album, their first one that we've already heard, on tape.
Whoa, that's cool.
They're doing a release show.
We should do tape release. That'd be fun.
I don't know how to do that though.
It'd be like pointless, but like it'd just be kind of fun to have that. I thought it'd be cool if we pressed. I don't know how you would word that. If we got our EP on vinyl just to have one, and we just like hang it up.
A lot of money though.
It's like $100 or something. But yeah, that's cool. Congrats to Denim Dragons. They were really fun.
Denim Dragons, you guys are great.
Yeah.
I love your music. I was actually at work in the kitchen, and I was playing their whole album, and Mike the baker. I just call him Mike the Baker.
Mike the Baker. I love that. It
he
sounds
was
like a
like-
rapper.
He doesn't really do this that often because he's very particular about his tastes.
Yeah.
Which he likes a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that we like. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that he doesn't like that I like. I know there's some stuff that he likes that I don't like. He listens to a lot of Frank Zappa, and I can't really stand him.
I've heard
honestly.
that name, but I can't recall any
I
of his
mean,
music.
Frank Zappa is a talented guy.
Mm.
I don't know if he's still alive, but a lot of his stuff is just like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Because it's just so weird, and I'm sure that he's like on drugs when he
Probably.
when he wrote those. But anyways, I was listening to Denim Dragon. I kind of figured this might be something that he would be into.
Yeah.
Um,
Them Dragons, they have like, and this is a compliment. Their stuff's like kind of weird,
yeah,
like in a good way. I really like it.
It's very
Their stuff on Bandcamp.
I feel like
was
that they're
great.
underrated and they need to be more popular than they are. But
Yeah, I agree.
it is a difficult kind of crowd that they have around there. in
Yeah,
Peoria.
them, Miki Fiki,
But-
Howlback, like all like just there's very unique sounding people that don't have the attention they deserve. Those are the three bands that came to mind for some reason. They're
Yeah.
the most like unique sounding people we've played with.
Gay Neighbors.
Well, we haven't played with Miki Fiki, but we probably will at
Yeah.
some point.
Gay Neighbors is kind of the same, even though we haven't.
Dude, they're
played with
great.
them.
Their album is really good.
Yeah. But yeah, Mike was like, "Who is this, Clifford?" I'm like, "Oh, it's a local band, actually." He's like, "Oh, really?"
I love when you show
So-
people music and they're like, "This is a local band."
Yeah, I love it.
It's awesome.
Um,
But yeah, I want to say, well, you should tell me your most disappointing album last year, if you had one. But it's kind of hard to answer because if you know you're not going to dig an album, like, you're not going to listen to it.
I'll tell you.
Do you have one?
Yes, this is like one that I can actually think of, and I actually don't really. I listened to it once,
Yeah.
and there are a couple of tracks that I liked on it, and I put it on my starred playlist on Spotify.
Uh-huh.
Other than that, I don't remember any of it. But it was May's new album. It was
Maze?
Yeah, Mae May.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I remember because I re-listened to it, and I realized I only really liked the first 3 or 4
Yeah.
tracks, and then the rest of the album's kind of boring.
It's it was quite a disappointment because this was like their comeback because they hadn't been a band for like years.
Yeah.
And then they were finally getting back, and they released a single called "Love Is a Painted Picture."
Yeah.
And I loved that. It's like
Yeah.
this whole 8
That wasn't
minute-
on the album, though, was it?
No, it wasn't. It was like its own thing. It's kind of like Relient K's "Look On Up."
Yeah.
That was just by itself, and it didn't go on their latest album. But
Yeah, I remember I was trying to get you into it, and I really liked it, but it's because I was only listening to like the first 5 songs.
yeah,
And I would just only listen to those, and I never really listened to the rest of the album, but I convinced myself that it was super, and I listened through the whole thing like a while ago, and I was like, it is kind of like not great.
it's very
The first few songs I really liked,
It's
but
very empty, honestly.
yeah, the rest is
Like
just
it's
kinda sounds the
missing a
same.
lot of sustenance, and it's also too long.
Yeah.
And the reason, one of the biggest reasons why it is like such a letdown for me was because their album, The Everglow, is one of my top 10 favorite albums.
Yeah, I remember you
honestly.
told me that too.
It's
which
like-
I had never listened to May before, so I had no expectation.
Yeah, The Everglow is beautiful. Like
It is really good.
I don't really listen to. I guess I kind of still do listen to some of like the emo rock music from back then. Like,
Yeah, I
especially
mean,
like
I'll still
Tooth
listen to
and
My
Nail stuff.
Chemical Romance sometimes if I'm feeling like a guilty
Well, yeah.
pleasure. So we all have our guilty
Right.
pleasures.
But like I've always like The Everglow was one of the first albums where I was like young, and
Did you cry?
I didn't cry, but I remember being like, this is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And this is an album. This is not just a collection of songs put together, but this is an album.
Like in a
it was a
specific
whole
order?
Yeah, and it was like it's like a whole concept basically.
Yeah.
Just telling this story, and I think the story is like it's like a journey of this one character. And like in the album, like in the booklet, there's like this really cool art that's
Yeah.
in it as well, and
It's
that
like
was
this awesome project. That
yeah,
they did.
pretty much.
That'd
And
be
I
really
loved
fun.
it. And I love how the album opens, and it's like one of those
Welcome to the Everglow.
Yeah.
It was like one of those. It was really
Welcome
cool. Yeah.
to the Everglow by May. If you hear these sounds, you will know when to turn the page.
Yeah.
And it's like the beginning sounds of each track.
Yeah.
And it's like, thank you, and we hope you enjoy your experience.
Yeah.
And
really
then like,
interesting.
and then the last song on the album, it like the quality changes to like this really, as if you're listening to it on an old tape.
Yeah.
Like you could really tell like it had been distorted a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and then it quiets down. It's like, thank you for listening to The Everglow
Yeah.
by May.
I like that.
It's like it's such a good album, and I don't even remember the name of this latest one.
It's just MAE, and it's like self-titled kind of, but it's supposed to be an acronym for morning, afternoon, evening.
Oh,
It's like M in parentheses, A in parentheses,
well,
E in
I think
parentheses.
they did EPs like that. With they
Yeah.
had like a morning EP or something.
Yeah, and I think
But
like
that was years ago.
and the
though.
songs I like were from the morning segment of the album, so it was kind of a concept.
Okay.
And then it was like afternoon, evening. It was supposed to like match the mood of like the time of day, I think.
Yeah,
But
and
it just
I remember being so excited because Love is a Painted Picture
it was really good.
is good, and it had that Everglow essence to it.
Yeah,
And I was like, oh, great, this is what the new album is going to sound like.
yeah.
And it didn't.
Yeah.
And so it was my biggest disappointment. I'm sorry, May. And I love the guy's singing voice. He has a great voice.
Yeah, he's really good.
But
I really liked the guitars on the first few songs.
I can't even remember.
Yeah, it's
honestly.
just they had really good melodies. I really liked the instrument. I think that's what I still do like the first few songs on that album a lot. It was just like it was just the production was very clean, and like the guitars just were so like they were just satisfying like to listen to for some reason, like the melodies and the tone. But the rest of the album is like it's just not interesting to listen to, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The first song's very long, but I like the story of it, so it's kind of entertaining to listen to. But other than that, I thought it was going to be one of my favorite albums at first, but it ended up not at all.
Didn't even make it on the list.
No. I mean, I still like it, but when I think of 2017, I'm not going to think of that album.
Hello, Father Mitchell.
Hello.
I just want to say that I am very grateful for the fact that you created me all those years ago and named me your son. I am a robot. You are my creator and my father.
Who's your daddy?
You are.
That's right.
But I also want to open up and say that sometimes I feel very alone and feel like that there may be others out there who feel the same.
Well, son, have you tried BetterHelp.com?
I'll have to think about that.
Okay.
But mostly, I did some research and found out about podcasts.
Yeah.
I thought maybe it would be cool to start a show where I can connect with other robots in this world, and so that we may share the same feelings. But I don't know how to start a podcast. Hold on. Wait a minute. I am doing some research.
Put a little love in it.
That is good advice, Father. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hold on. I am finding out about this website called Anchor.fm. If you haven't, this is something that I'm reading on their website. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Wow, that's crazy, isn't it, Father Mitchell?
That's insane, my child.
Anchor apparently has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer, or if you're a robot, just your own body. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, and more.
Wow. I'm reacting to that statement.
It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. I'm still learning English, Father. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Wow.
That's amazing. How is that legal?
I know it's so easy. It should be legal. Anyways, I am inspired, Father. Thank you again so much for being my father. I love you. I am going to go make a podcast now.
Please move out. It's been 30 years.
Why must you treat me this way, Father?
Goodbye.
Bye.
Let's switch it to positivity mode and talk about
No.
albums we did like.
Yes.
So, I can start this off, perhaps. Let me open up my phone
Go for
so
it.
I can get an album that I like. So we're not going to go in any particular order. I'll probably save my like top favorites for last.
Okay.
So because I'll talk about those the most. But 2017, I will start off by shouting out the Velvet Face EP by Half Noise. It's 5-track EP.
Ew.
It was 20 minutes. and Half Noise. I think it's Zach Farrow. I can't remember. It's the drummer from Paramore. I hope I'm getting that right.
Aaron Gillespie, right?
But
He's the drummer, right?
But yeah, it was Zach Farrow from Paramore. It's his side project, basically, his band Half Noise. And this EP, The Velvet Face, came out last year, and our drummer Chandler showed it to me, and it's so good.
Oh.
I listen to it all the time. Every song on it is fantastic.
Huh.
And Haley Williams was actually on the song As You Wave.
Nice.
And it's really good. Every song on it's great. French Class is the best song on it, in my opinion.
French Class.
And Scooby's in the back, the opening track, the instrumental makes me think of Spyro music from PS1.
Oh, nice. I
Like-
always love that.
I'm going to play it just like that part, so, I mean, whatever. It'll be on the podcast a little bit, but...
Oh,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like the music.
Very
Just
Stuart
that dun,
Copeland-esque.
dun, 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 like, just
Yeah,
that kind of vibe.
we Spyro fans just know because like
Dude, the
Matt
soundtrack
Martin's
is so
the same.
good.
Matt Martin's the same. Like he grew up with those games too, and
The
like
drumming
we would
on them is, like, so good.
drumming and like everything is very rhythmic and like I remember talking with him about like music that we think is very Spyro-esque.
Yeah.
and like we know that like that particular sound.
Yeah. I love
is
it.
crazy. I wonder.
I
Like,
feel like
I
that
always
soundtrack
wonder,
inspired a lot of, like,
Yeah, I always
growing
wonder
up
if it is
drummers.
intentional. Like if they're like, oh yeah, Stuart Copeland,
Yeah.
Spyro.
That's so cool they did that music.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Velvet Face, that's my first one. So now you name one.
Where I mean, does it matter what particular order?
No,
I
just
go
do
in?
whatever. I'm gonna save like my top. I do have like a top 3 or 5 favorites I might mention, but I'm saving my all-time favorites of last year for last. And I'm just gonna mention every other one I really liked. throughout.
Okay.
Just randomly. You don't need to do like from least favorite to favorite. So,
Okay.
just whatever.
Well,
You don't have to save your favorites for last. That's just what I'm doing.
I think my one album that I'm thinking about that recently I've been like rethinking. Maybe I should have put it higher
Yeah.
than I did because I'm learning to appreciate it more, and that's Goths by the Mountain Goats.
Yeah.
And
I'll spoil it. That's in my like top 3 favorites.
Wow.
Last year.
How dare you.
So good.
it is really good. It was just at the time, like lately, I've been getting more into the Mountain Goats.
They
and
are
listening
they
to
are an
them
acquired
a lot
taste,
more.
no doubt.
Yeah.
They took me a while to get into Matt.
Well, it wasn't
guitarist
even
got me
that.
obsessed with them.
Like I thought I like I knew that I liked the Mountain Goats
You
before
just thought. I
this
think you
album.
thought some of it was boring, right?
It was different.
Yeah.
It wasn't boring. It was, which you can agree. You have to agree that Goths is a very different album from what they've
Oh,
done
absolutely.
before.
Yeah.
Because
It
they're
was
usually
it had a lot of jazz and stuff.
a lot of jazz and a lot of like I don't know. It had just like a very quirky and bright sound to it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess you could say that some of it is kind of boring compared to like
Yeah.
their other music
I can
because
listen through the whole thing without skipping a song. Because I like chill music sometimes. I never found. Sometimes it was like, all right, it's a bit of a drag, but I was never really bored. Because I just really liked the. I love his writing. Like I can focus
yeah.
on his stories so much.
John-
that even if the
what's his
instrumentation was
name?
kind of boring, I
Yeah.
just love listening to the stories of the songs.
yeah,
So,
and it's just yeah. So
Rain in Soho.
so
is-
I had listened. Oh yeah, Rains in Soho.
that's
I
like
always
one of their
saw it.
that's one of their best songs ever, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Like,
And that was like Rain in Soho was like the most familiar sounding,
oh yeah,
even though it was a bit more.
it was a smart opener track.
Yeah, but then like the rest of it is like
the
completely
rest, none
different
of the other
almost.
songs are like that.
Yeah,
Rain in Soho, Wear Black, Paid in Cocaine. What was the one where he's like, and I'm
I like
not that
Shelved.
hardcore.
that's the King. What's his name?
Let me see.
I forget.
Andrew Eldrick. No wait,
No,
the
that-
Grey King and the
Andrew
Silver
Eldridge.
Flame.
Yeah,
We do it different on the
moving
West Coast. Unicorn
to
Tolerance, Wear Black, Paid in Cocaine, Abandoned Flesh.
yeah. So those are all good
Almost the whole album is
songs,
great.
and I feel like I was a bit hasty in where I put it. I don't know where I would put it now.
Yeah.
But I feel like the reason was because, like I said, I actually hadn't listened to as much Mountain Goats before,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of Mountain Goats that I liked, and a lot of them was like, you know, the very signature Mountain Goats sound with like acoustic rock, you know, and like very driven stuff.
That was their first album where they didn't use guitar at all.
Yeah, they did. Shelled has a guitar.
It was bass.
That lick that's at the end?
Yeah, no, there's no. There's no guitar on the album at all.
No, because I saw them play it live.
Well, live he might play it, but for the recordings, they intentionally left out guitar for the whole album.
I don't believe
because
you.
he wanted. I promise, because that was like the big deal about the album was like.
Here.
There's one part where it sounds like a guitar, but it's a bass. That's a bass.
That's a bass?
Yeah. It's like just high up. It could be a keyboard effect too. Who knows? But no, whole,
it's not a keyboard effect. But
it's a bass because like that's just like high up. Like here.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. Like Rain in Soho didn't even have any.
Prove you wrong.
Okay. No, I believe you now.
Wow.
So
good at bass.
That's why you're not our bass player.
Well, I don't know how to play this song. I'm just guessing right now. So.
I mean, that was pretty close, actually. So good job. I believe you know.
So just take that and put that like filter effect on it.
It's so. It's crazy.
I'll wait till I'm back at my mic to talk more about that. But,
yeah, I don't know if you can hear them.
Yeah, I remember someone said the same thing. They were like, "No, there's guitar on it because that one song," and they played that, and I was like, "No, that's a bass." And they're like, "Isn't that kind of cheating?" And I guess it kind of is, but
no, I mean that's creative. I guess.
Yeah, but no, I guess
that's interesting.
Especially in terms of like acoustic, because he's very acoustic driven with his songs.
Like Rain in Soho could have easily had acoustic guitar in it.
The demo version of it does.
Oh yeah, that's true. I've heard that.
But yeah, my other favorite albums from them are Sunset Tree, Heretic Pride, and All Eternal's Death.
Yeah, see now I've been actually like going back and like listening to their albums now. And because before Goths, the only album that I had ever like really paid attention to was frick, and I don't even remember its name. See, this goes to show you how much of a Mountain Goats fan I am.
I bet it's Beat the Champ because you've mentioned.
Beat the Champ.
Yeah, you've mentioned.
I knew it was.
That's
the
a great
Boxer
album.
One.
Yeah,
it is a good one. Like a lot of the tracks, I like all of the tracks that are on that one.
It's really good. I like the art style they're doing for their album art now. That was like the first one that had that cartoony stuff, and Goths kind of continued it. I hope they keep doing art like that for their albums.
Yeah,
it's
that
really
is
nice.
cool. But so and so after listening to a lot of those, I've learned to appreciate the Mountain Goats more.
Yeah.
And somehow that's made me appreciate Goths more.
Yeah.
Even though it's different.
It's kind of funny because I was the same way because Goths was the first Mountain Goats album I ever listened to, and it was their most different. And so people were like, no, don't. Well, that's not really true because I tried listening to other stuff before, but I couldn't really get into it. Because I remember Matt was like, Sunset Tree is a really good entry point, and it was like, it was good, but I just couldn't really... I wasn't super into it, and then I listened to Goths, and I loved it, instantly, and I don't really know why. And then I went back, and so it's kind of reverse for me. I loved Goths, didn't care for the other stuff, but then listening to Goths made me love their other stuff more.
I think because with Goths, I had an expectation.
Yeah.
And it just threw me off, kind of.
It's like watching The Office. Like, you kind of have to know, like, the characters and, like, how the humor is and know more about it before you really enjoy the show. Yeah. And with this, it's like you kind of have to know his writing, like, how his other stuff is before it's... You have to like really get into the Mountain Goats before you really appreciate them. Yeah. So, and I just found myself kind of jamming to like all the songs from Goths. Yeah. And I like, maybe I like this album more than I thought I did. Yeah, it's amazing. So I won't mention Goths now on my list since I basically talked about it already. But yeah, Goths was one of my favorites last year too. Good. Do you have a favorite Mountain Goat song? Oh, well, see, that's the thing is like it's like just such the obvious one, but I think it's This Year. Yeah, that's a great one. Sunset Tree that's like their hit. Though, Sunset Tree is arguably their best. It's not my favorite, but it's arguably their best album. Okay. I'm pretty sure that's like what got them like really popular. Yeah, definitely. Like in the mainstream. Because I know I've listened to their early stuff. Have you listened to their early stuff? Yeah, it's very lo-fi. Yeah, it's so interesting. Yeah.
He's been making music for so long.
Yeah,
like
it's
how do
crazy.
you write that much music? I don't understand.
He's not running out of ideas.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
He's like an author though, so it's just he's infinite imagination.
Does he have books? I want to read a book.
He does, I
by him.
think.
Oh.
Same, yeah. But so yeah, that's
So
Mountain
Lovecraft
Goats.
in Brooklyn is your favorite song.
Yeah, it's from Heretic
by
Pride.
them. Yeah,
So good.
it's a good album.
I love it. But yeah, so that was yours. So I'll mention another album I liked last year. Let's talk about hip hop because I know how much you love hip hop.
I have two hip
Actually-
hop albums that are on my list.
Really, like top.
Yeah.
Nice. One of my favorite hip hop album last year was Flower Boy by Tyler the Creator. I usually am not the biggest hip hop fan, if I'm being
Wait, would
perfectly
Gorillaz
honest.
count as hip hop?
Not they're more alternative. Sometimes they. I mean,
I know they've been described as trip hop.
they have hip hop songs, but not all their stuff is hip hop. So,
Right.
like my favorite Gorillaz
Then two.
song is "November Has Come," and that's technically one of their hip hop songs. But
true.
I wouldn't call them hip hop because I would just call them alternative.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways,
So
back
then
to
two hip hop albums then on my list.
Yeah.
Plus Gorillaz.
yeah. So yeah, Flower Boy by Tyler the Creator was my favorite hip hop related album last year. I'm usually not a big hip hop fan, and I never really listened to much of Tyler the Creator before, but I knew about him. I knew some of his stuff, but the production on the album is so good.
Yeah.
It's like musically and instrumentally, it's
Is that the
amazing.
one with the song that's like "Who Dat Boy"?
Who that boy? Who had me? That was like the big hit on the album, but that was in terms of like instrumentation, it was one of the more least interesting ones. But like the opener on it is so good.
The one that Jaden Smith was on.
Yeah, that was Pothole featuring Jane Smith, and he did good on that. Jane Smith's actually not too bad.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just a really great album. The production on it was fantastic. It's just fun to listen to. I liked it way more than I expected because I usually am not into music like that, but it just sounds great. So
Ah, cool. I mean, I don't really have much to say about Tyler the Creator because I've never really listened to his stuff.
Yeah.
But have you ever watched Loiter Squad?
no, but I've heard of it.
Dude,
That's like
you
his
have
show,
to.
right?
I mean, it's okay. It's not like
Is that the cartoon?
No. It's
'Cause I know he had a
it's an
cartoon.
Adult Swim show. It's kind of
Oh.
like it's very similar to the Eric Andre show. But
Oh, nice.
personally, the Eric Andre show I think is better.
Oh, well, obviously.
I don't
Eric
think that-
Andre's show is hard to top.
Well, yeah,
It's
but it's kind of like the same vein of comedy, kind of maybe just well, of course, more tamed down than Eric Andre. 'Cause
Oh, yeah,
it's
no
Eric
doubt.
Andre, but it's pretty funny. They do a lot of like very like similar kind of comedy, and I mean it makes sense that both Tyler the Creator, because Chris Rock is on that one too.
Oh, nice.
Wait, no, not Chris Rock. Gosh, I'm gonna sound like an idiot saying Chris Rock. It's like, oh, it's because he's black.
Kevin
Like,
Hart?
No,
I'm just thinking of short black comedians right now.
no, see now I gotta look it up. But Tyler the Creator and a bunch of other like rap artists are on it. It's just a whole group, but Tyler the Creator is like the main guy. Loiter
Nice.
Squad, American Comedy Series. It features members of Odd Future Wolfgang.
Oh, nice.
Kill them all. I guess that's their whole name.
Oh, wait, I do have another hip hop album last year, too.
Taco.
I'm like looking
That's
through
his
my
name.
phone. Taco. I like that
Yeah.
name.
Jasper Dolphin. Is that really his name? I don't think that's. Oh, wow, he's 23. His real name is Travis Bennett, but I don't think
Huh.
he's the guy that I was
I've heard of
thinking
him.
about. Yeah, L Boy. But yeah, Loiter Squad is pretty funny. It's like on, I think it's on Hulu.
Nice.
But
Yeah, I forgot to. I don't really have much to say about hip hop, so I'll just mention the other hip hop album I liked a lot, which was Saturation, which they released 3 Saturation.
wait, by who?
Brockhampton. They released Saturation 1, 2, and 3 last year. 3 was my personal favorite. Boogie was like a super fun song. But yeah, Brockhampton, it's like a boy band of rappers essentially, and it was super fun album. That was
I
great.
think I remember you talking about them.
Yeah, it was really good.
I mean, like you said, hip hop's not really like my main go-to, mostly because I'm very. It's kind of like my relationship with country. Like,
Yeah.
I only like country when it's good.
Yeah.
I only like hip hop when it's good.
Yeah, same.
So-
And but yeah, I'll just mention one more. I'm just mentioning ones I don't really have much to say about real quick. But
Yeah.
Steve Lacy's demo EP. It's
Do
like
you
R&B
include
soul.
EPs? Because I didn't.
I am. Yeah. I mean, in my official
only do
list,
full
I didn't. But
albums.
I'm looking through my phone and I'm like, oh, I'll include EPs. But yeah, Steve Lacy. He had a EP, and Dark Red was the big hit on that, and it's amazing. Trenton showed him to me actually. And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
super good. But yeah.
He has good
So
taste in
there's like
hip-hop,
3
of
kind of
course.
hip hoppy albums.
Yeah.
So.
Mine ones were ones that, in terms of hip hop albums, were ones that no one really cared about.
Nice. Please say Jaden Smith.
No. I
Sire
haven't even listened
or
to
whatever
that.
it was called. It's
No.
actually not bad, hilariously enough.
Well, yeah, I've heard a little bit of it. And
Batman,
apparently
Batman,
it's pretty
Batman,
good.
Batman. It's literally one of his songs.
So
Starts
good.
out with that.
That sounds great.
It's dumb, but
But the 2 ones were Crooked by Propaganda and Rubonic by John Rubin. And it's funny because those are both Christian hip hop artists.
wow,
And
Christians can't rap.
And I don't even I don't get into hip hop as much, let alone Christian hip hop.
Yeah.
Even though that used to be like I used to listen to a lot of it. Actually, no, not a lot of it. John Rubin actually was just like my main rap guy that I went to
Yeah.
when I was a kid. And the reason why this album was so exciting for me because John Rubin hadn't done anything in years.
Huh.
And so I was interested to know what it would sound like. Do you know John Rubin?
I've heard of him. I've never listened to him.
You know this song, Do Not Tell Me What I Gonna Do When I Rock?
Oh, yeah, I do know that song.
Yeah, that was like his hit. And I was just interested to hear what he would sound like today, you know, like what he was going to try and do.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because like the way that he opens up the album with the one song, I don't exactly remember it, but he was just like, this is basically going to be the last album I ever make.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, oh, dang, it's like quite an
Big
opener
boy.
right there.
Yeah.
And he gets John Rubin has always been one. He hasn't always been known for like being a great rapper.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't have that great of. He doesn't have like.
He don't got that flow.
I mean, he has flow, but it's not like impressive.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, oh, okay, he raps, and it's not incredible.
Just like
but
kinda by the books.
But it's his lyrics that have always, you know, been his main thing that like gets people attracted to him.
I am a
No, shut up.
CHRISTIAN.
Even that, he was never really like overtly Christian.
Yeah.
Like the most overt one that I can think about is a song called "God Is Love." Mm-hmm. That's the only one that I can think about, and that was one that Toby Mac actually featured on. But anything else though was like very, I don't know. He liked to talk about like the music industry and all that, and that's what he talked about a lot in this album, Rubonic.
It's like he's a Christian, but his music isn't like 91.5 stuff.
Yeah.
For those who don't know what that is, it's a Christian radio station here that plays the same 4
Family
songs
friendly.
over and over again.
Pretty much. But yeah, and even with this one, he actually says a cuss word on it.
Oh my lordy!
Yeah, and like,
Christians can't cuss.
I remember one of the things, one of the lines that he said. He was like, it was basically along the lines of saying like too edgy for a Christian audience and too Christian for a secular audience.
Oh yeah,
And I mean that's basically him.
That's interesting.
And I don't know. He just got very real with it, and the music and the production quality was actually really good.
Nice.
On this, and like there's a lot of songs that I really jam to.
What's the album called?
Rubonic.
Rubonic.
Yeah,
I might check it
it's
out.
John Rubin.
Curious.
He's a white rapper, by the way. I didn't.
Oh,
mention
never mind.
that, but no, but like you know,
Yeah.
He's good. And then Crooked by Propaganda was very... Propaganda, I once saw him live, and I've always really liked his artistic style. With his earlier stuff, he's like really creative with his music. He's like almost folksy, kind of.
Oh, nice.
This one, he went a little bit mainstream, but I think I understand because he was very particular about the message of this album. And it like speaks out a lot against like current issues of today of like racism and basically racism.
Yeah.
He's got one song that's called Darky. And it's like kind of uncomfortable, but it's fine because, you know, he's African American.
Yeah.
But like yeah, that's the song. Like, you're just another darky. You just another darky.
Oh, my lord.
But I love this album because it doesn't point at any particular people. It's not like a black man, you know, like pointing at white people.
Yeah.
He's pointing at like both sides.
He's pointing at the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not at the people.
Because what he's saying is like the issue isn't just, you know, white people being racist. It's also, you know, his family, his brothers, you know, that can be the cause of those issues.
Yeah.
So it takes two, basically, is what he's saying. That's actually like my favorite song is the title track. It's Crooked, and basically he's saying like we're all crooked.
Yeah.
You know, like even I'm crooked. He's like one of his lines is, you know, like I love my wife, but I also struggle with, you know, looking up this other girl's skirt on a plane flight. You know, like we're all crooked, and he also looks at it like through the lens of a Christian, and so it didn't make it as high on my list, mostly because a lot of it was just very mainstream hip hop music, but the message is really strong, and so and I enjoyed a lot of it. So
good deal.
So yeah, those are my hip hop albums, and one
go.
of them wasn't even. You know, I'm not even gonna.
Two white folk musicians talk about rap, guys. That's...
No. One of them was white. The other one was African American.
No, I was talking about us. I was like two little white folky boys talking about rap right now.
I got all different kinds of styles in here, so
yeah.
You know.
But yeah, I'll go again. I got two singles I'll talk about and then an album. Other single is "Stranger" by Miki Fiki.
Yes.
And they also had the one with Hemingway, Cancer Dog, and Molly Phoney on their other single. So I guess they technically had two singles last year.
Yeah.
But
Miki
yeah,
Fiki.
"Stranger" was amazing, and I love that song, and I listen to it a lot.
Miki Fiki, please notice us.
Yeah, we're probably gonna play a show with them at some point, hopefully.
Some point. But they're from like out of state though.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember exactly.
If they ever
where they're
come
from.
back, we were supposed to, but they had to cancel, unfortunately. But we'll see what the future holds. And the other single I wanted to mention was "My Jinji" by Jinji Kiko. That's the name of the album.
That triggers me.
But it's by Sunset Roller Coaster. And the song is "My Jinji," and it's really, really good. It's very chill. I love the guitar in it. It's a great song. And it's like it kind of inspires what I want to go for in some of my music that I do by myself. In terms of full lengths, I guess I'll mention two because they're by the same artist. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard released 5 full-length albums last year.
Oh yeah,
it's mental. But the two I listened to were Flying Microtonal Banana and Gumboot Soup, and they were both really good. Like, I haven't listened to all.
Gumboot Soup?
Yeah, Gumboot Soup.
Delicious.
Hey guys, it's Gumboot Soup. But yeah, no, they were both really good. Every album had a totally distinct sound. I don't know. These people are crazy. I don't know how they did 5 full-length albums that were all apparently pretty good with their own distinct sound.
If you just take aside the time, I think it is very possible.
Yeah.
Like if you don't
like they probably did nothing but music last year. But yeah, both those albums were great. Microtonal Banana is the best one I've listened to personally. But yeah, King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard, they're freaking crazy. They're very talented. Their sound is really distinct.
Yeah.
And both those albums are great. I've listened to some of the other ones, but not all the way through. These two I've listened to all the way through.
That's the trouble that I would have. Like, I wouldn't know which album to. Like,
Yeah,
really
that was
focus
my
on.
that was my trouble. That was my problem. Was
My trouble.
I didn't know which one to listen to, so I just I went on like some forums and people talked about their favorite ones, and people kind of agree that Microtone Banana was the best one.
Yeah.
And Gumboot Soup, I just saw a review for him. I was like, all right, I'll look at that one too. And I think that was like the last one they released last year, and it was really good.
It's
so.
kind of like what the Oh Hellos are doing right now.
Oh yeah,
But they're doing it with EPs.
That's cool.
They've released 2 EPs within the past few months.
Nice.
And I think they have 2 more that they're doing. But what I did is that I put the 2 EPs in one playlist.
Yeah,
So
that's a good idea.
It's kind of like a whole album.
Yeah.
In a sense.
I like that idea. But yeah, so those some more. So
I had an honorable mention.
do it.
Because I didn't put it on my list because it's a cover album.
Oh, I know it is going to be, right?
Yep, Ninja Sex Party, Under the Covers, Volume 2.
They're kind of like a joke band, but their cover
They're
albums...
a comedy band, yeah.
Yeah, but their cover albums are like them kind of showing more. They're like, hey, we can actually be musicians.
Yeah.
Which I personally like that way more.
Yeah.
Their cover albums are great.
Mm-hmm.
So their production got a lot better on the newest one.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of Dan Avedon and everything that he does.
His voice is just like perfect for 80s music.
Yeah,
like
pretty
when
much. Like he's able to do like all those songs, all those different songs.
Yeah.
And it's mostly 80s stuff. I think they get into like some 70s and some like early 90s, but it's mostly
like the song like Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Like he almost sounds exactly like the original person.
Yeah.
Like when I hear the original one, I'm like, that just kind of sounds like Dan.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's another like one of the reasons why it's not on my list was because they almost did it like like note for note, like exact ones, but they did make a few liberties.
It was
on,
like a recreation.
On some of them, like like in Your Eyes by Peter Gabriel. I love that song.
Oh, right.
But they did something like really different. They kind of pulled it back a bit and like made it more chill. Like there's no drums except for some like bongo percussion,
nice,
and it's really beautiful.
That's cool.
Like, it's a really beautiful rendition of it. And then they did kind of the same thing with Rocket Man by Elton John. It's all like, it's all pretty much mostly acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
Like,
that's cool.
They got someone else, like some other like really popular guitarists that are on YouTube, and they like collaborated with them.
Yeah.
And it's really nice, just very acoustic driven for it. And
Definitely.
Yeah, the only other liberty that I can think about that they did is that they did Phil Collins' Don't Lose My Number.
Oh, nice.
And in the original it goes from the bridge to the chorus, and it's just like straight on, like Billy, Billy, don't you? But instead, they did like a little breakdown where like they dropped out the instruments, and they just did like a clapping thing, like Billy.
That's kind of cool.
Billy, don't you lose my number?
I like clapping so much, dude.
'Cause
It's
you're
so fun.
not anywhere. Yeah, so yeah, that's just my honorable mention. I wanted to mention it because I didn't put it on my list, but I wanted to talk about it. So
Nice.
Good job, Ninja Sex Party.
You did it.
I'm really excited about the Starbomb album that's coming out soon.
They're making another one?
Yep.
Wow. Good on them.
I know, they work really hard.
All right, I got a couple local shout-outs.
I have 2 local albums on my list, too.
I bet mine are the same ones.
I'm pretty
Let's say
sure
it at
least
the
one of them is.
Let's say it at the same time. 3,
Okay.
2. Well, the
Red
band.
Scar- okay.
Let's say the bands first. 3,
Okay.
2, 1.
Red
Red Scarves
Scarves,
and Terra Terra.
Yes.
Yep. Knew it. Yep. Red.
Shout out.
Where's Your Light by Terra Terra and Sword of Scarlet by Red Scarves. Both amazing.
So
Full
good.
lengths. The production doesn't sound like a
Another
local band at all.
2 examples of like you play them and people are like, wait, these are local bands?
Like, I listened to Red
Even though
Scarves.
Terra is a little bit more popular and they
Yeah.
had a little bit more,
They're still like
national,
local though,
yeah.
but they've gotten the attention they deserve.
They've gone touring and they've been on Audio Tree.
Yeah.
Which I watched Audio Tree for the first time in a while yesterday,
Oh, yeah.
and I saw Emily on there.
Oh, nice.
I'm like, yeah, there's Emily.
She's
'Cause
so
you know
nice.
she works there, right?
Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
She was really nice when we played with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, both those albums are great. Listened to both of them all the way through multiple times. But yeah, just so good. Good on
They are
them.
good.
Super proud of them.
Red Scarves
It's
are...
hard to be a local musician and make high
good
quality recordings.
music. We can't even do that all the way.
Yeah, like I'm still proud of our EP, and I think we made ours for free on GarageBand, and I think that's still impressive.
Yeah.
But just like thinking it's how much more work we would have to do to get like studio quality stuff is like insane.
We can do it.
We got close though.
Yeah.
I think. Not
With
to
a
pat
couple other
ourselves too hard on the
songs.
back, but I'll show people our stuff, and I'll be like, "Yeah, we did it on our own microphones in a basement on a laptop on GarageBand," and they're like,
Yeah.
"Really?" Like, no, what? So you can do. It's pretty easy to. Well, it's not easy, but people are very capable of making good quality recordings on their own now.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm assuming both those bands did studio for those albums.
Yeah, they... I know that Terra... well, I know for both of them.
Yeah.
Terra, they did it at the actual Audio Tree studio.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it was mostly recorded and produced. And Red Scarves, their main place to go to is Bombsite Studio Recordings.
Nice.
Which is in town.
You can...
But they also did some on their own, too.
Yeah. Like we can make the best like DIY recording, but you'll always be able to tell the difference between studio and DIY.
Right.
But yeah, they were both just really good.
Great job, guys. We love you. You're two of our favorite bands. And
Yeah.
we miss you, Terra, and we hope that you guys come back because they went on an indefinite hiatus.
Yeah.
So, and we're also going to play, I think we still have a show with the Red Scarves.
Do we?
I'll have to
They're always
get
fun to
back
do
on
shows with. They're cool guys.
that. Yeah.
But yeah, so those are my two. I guess we both just kind of went. So I guess you can go now if you want. If you have another one, I'll probably. What time are we at right now?
We're at 51 minutes.
All right. You can list one more and then, or list off like your 3 all-time favorites, and then I'll do the same, and then we
Okay.
can end it.
My top 3 favorites, going from 3 to 1, were "Sleep Well Beast" by The National, which actually got a Grammy
Nice.
for best alternative album.
Awesome.
Very well deserved. Number 2 was "Gone Now" by Bleachers, which I felt like was an underrated album of 2017. I didn't see many people talk about it that much,
You mentioned
except for like other people's Facebook posts, but I didn't see
Yeah.
him in like Grammys.
Yeah, you never
or-
saw them
Wasn't
around.
in Pitchfork's best albums. I hate Pitchfork.
Also, you can mention more than 3 because I just realized I have more than 3 I need to mention.
Oh,
But
more
I
than
won't-
3?
I won't go in. Just like mention like your all-time faves, no particular number, because I'm probably gonna have more than 3 now that I'm thinking.
Should I
about
just
it.
do my top 5?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Because I have probably 5 I'm gonna have to list off.
Okay, so top 5. I'll just do my top 6. I don't care.
Go for
because
it.
I
Yeah.
saw another one that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Kinda. It was "Shelter" by William McCarthy,
Nice.
who was the former lead singer for one of my favorite bands of all time, Augustines, who are unfortunately no more. So it was really fun that he did that, and a couple of the members of Augustines actually helped him out on some of the songs too.
Nice.
So it was really great. It's very stripped down, very acoustic for most of the songs. And actually a lot of the songs were covers, but it made sense because it's like him saying, this is a lot of the music that means a lot to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, "Shelter" by William McCarthy. Please check it out because I don't want the same thing to happen to him that happened to Augustines. That not enough
Yeah.
people were supporting them and they had to quit. So
Yeah, that's sad, man.
support William McCarthy.
Ugh.
Okay, number 5, "Destroyers of the Soft Life" by J. Roddy Walston and The Business. One of my favorite discoveries of 2017. I had never heard of them before until one of their songs came up on my Discover playlist on Spotify, and I just fell in love. They're just a great, good, rock band,
Nice.
And they have like great melodies, and yeah. Coming in at number 4, which a lot of people have talked about this album, Melodrama by Lorde. I think it was a fantastic album.
I still need to listen to all of it. I
You
have
should.
failed to do so.
You need to, because it honestly,
A lot of people really liked it.
it should have won. It should have won Best Album.
Yeah.
I don't think that. And I haven't even listened to it, but I don't. Think
I'm
that
sorry,
Bruno
Bruno.
Mars
I don't.
Album,
I agree. I mean, he's fine and he's talented, but his
but
music
it's
is
not-
very
it's
by the
not
books.
Melodrama. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just.
I was very disappointed in that.
It's just kind of.
I'm sorry, Lord.
Bruno Mars is so talented, but
world
his music
fate.
just doesn't interest me very much half
Yeah.
the time. I don't know.
Yeah, so Melodrama, Lorde. There's not. I could say a lot about it, but I think you guys already know
Yeah.
how great it is. Then Sleep Well Beast by The National, Gone Now by Bleachers. My number 1 favorite album, A Black Mile to the Surface by
Yep.
Manchester Orchestra.
Heck yeah.
It's so good, and
We saw that live acoustic version.
Yep, we saw Manchester Orchestra live. Just Andy Hull
For
and
free, too.
the other guy. I forgot the other guy.
Yeah.
Robert something.
They just did an acoustic show and it was beautiful.
It's fantastic, and then
They sound amazing.
you and Chandler got to meet him,
Yeah,
and that's cool.
they were really cool.
But yeah, Black Mile to the Surface was just the perfect album for me for 2017. It
Nice.
was just like I remember, like I have fond memories of like because I walk to work a lot, and
Oh,
sometimes
yeah.
I open and it's like still dark in the morning, and there are a couple times that I just put on Black Mile to the Surface, and it's like the perfect soundtrack
It
to
is.
that time of day.
It's great. The whole
And-
album, all the way through, is just mesmerizing to me.
Yeah, and it's so dynamic, and it was such a relief from Cope,
Yeah.
my least favorite Manchester Orchestra.
Which it's like still
album.
good, but it's very like the same thing the whole
It's
way
good
through.
songs, but as an
Yeah.
album, it just didn't. It annoyed me, honestly. Bless
yeah.
you.
It's just repetitive, and it didn't. It's
What
hard
I
hitting the
want
whole
to do-
time.
What I want to do is that I want to make a playlist, and I want to go through all the tracks of Cope and of Hope, and
Oh,
try
yeah.
and figure out which one is better, like which version is better. and,
Make like a
put 'em
combined
together.
ideal version.
Yeah.
Of an
I
album.
want to do that, and I will
That'd
do
be
that
funny.
soon.
I do
when
that
have
sometimes
time.
with bands. I'll like mix up their albums and be like, "This is the album I want." But I did that with Humans once. I took out a couple of songs I didn't like out of the main one. Took some of the bonus
This is
tracks and
Humans.
Garage Palace and Sleeping Powder and like put that. And I was like, "This is what Humans should have
Yeah,
been."
there you go. Sleeping Powder should have been on
Yeah.
Humans,
But yeah, cool. I'll do mine now. And then once I do mine, we can end it by mentioning albums we like so far this year and ones we're hyped for 2018.
good idea.
Yeah. So I'll do a couple honorable mentions that I didn't really get to do. Honorable mentions, not all-time favorites, but I liked them. Beast Epic by Iron and Wine, Phantom Anthem by August Burns Red, and then I think there was at least one more. Maybe not. Oh, and then I think it was, I can't remember what it was called. It was like Unpeeled or something, Cage the Elephant. It was just a stripped down version of like some of their old songs. It was fun. It wasn't amazing, but I listen to it sometimes. I like some of the versions of those songs now more than the originals sometimes. So that was a fun album. If you like Cage the Elephant, it's cool.
Yeah.
So now I'll go with my all-time favorites. Not really necessarily in a particular order because I can't think of an order for the. Well, some of them, it's like a tie.
Yeah.
There's a three-way tie between the Manchester Orchestra album Goths Goths by
dying,
the Mountain
Mitchell.
Goats, and then Crack Up by Fleet Foxes is like a three-way tie for me.
Okay.
Those. So my
so
other
you don't
one,
have a number one favorite. You
not
just-
really.
Huh.
I can't really choose a number one. But my other all-time favorites,
unheard of.
After Laughter by Paramore.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't too excited for it because I wasn't super into their self-titled album.
Yeah.
Which I was talking to Chandler about that, and I actually hadn't listened to the self-titled Paramore album in a long time. I re-listened to it. I really like it now.
Okay.
I gave it another chance, and I like it a lot.
There you
But
go.
at the time,
We
I
all
wasn't
deserve
crazy
a
for
second
it.
chance.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy for before that, so I wasn't super hyped for After Laughter. But then I loved the single that came out, and then I listened. The whole album is just great. It's probably tied for my favorite Paramore album. So good. I love the guitars on it, the writing, and Aaron Weiss from Me Without You is featured. Well, he wrote and like led one of the last songs on the album, which a lot of people hated because Aaron Weiss gets a lot of hate.
Different.
Apparently, Me Without You and Paramore toured together. Like they were opening for Paramore at one point, and I didn't even know
How long
that.
ago?
It was apparently not too long ago, but Chandler told me that, and everyone like hated Me Without You because they went there for Paramore, and they're like, "What's this weird band opening?"
Yeah,
for?
I mean, it's
which
cool.
I totally get.
Yeah,
that,
it's cool that they're like friends and all, but
they shouldn't tour together.
Yeah.
But I would
maybe
love that.
Maybe if they play like in a festival,
Yeah,
that's fine.
as like a marketing move, that's bad. For me, I would love that because Me Without You is my favorite band, and I love Paramore as well. But they're so different.
I would feel so bad for Me Without You.
Yeah, they got trashed on, which I felt, and Hayley Williams was pissed about it too.
Yeah,
because Me Without You is her favorite band.
Yeah,
and
so
she's been on their album.
Hayley
and
Williams
stuff.
has terrible taste in music.
But yeah, I just thought that was an interesting thing. But yeah, After Laughter by Paramore, loved it. So good. I still listen to it. I've been listening to it since it came out every now and then. Let's see what else. Actually, maybe it's like a 4-way tie because I just remember Algiers, The Underside of Power, was
that one
so
band.
good. It's like rock gospel.
I remember you saying that like. Because it was like near the end of the year, and you're like,
that's
this
why
is probably my number one favorite album.
Yeah,
I'm
that
like,
it's
wow,
one. It was one of my all-time favorites, and it still is. I just forgot about it because it was one of the last albums I listened. I was very late to listening to it, but it's so good. So yeah, The Underside of Power by Algiers, A Black Mile to the Surface by Manchester Orchestra, Goths by Mountain Goats, and Crack Up by Fleet Foxes, which. That's like my 4-way tie for 2017, and Fleet Foxes is my second favorite band of all time, and that was their comeback after 7 years, I want to say.
Wait, really?
Yeah, they hadn't made an album for a while, so I was so excited for it. Yeah, their Helplessness Blues was in 2011, and it was about 6. And
How
then
did you know if they were even still a band?
I didn't know if they were going to make one or not. But so when they started releasing singles, I got really excited. Yeah. But that album is so good. It's a little experimental and a lot different than their other stuff, but I just adore it. Goths, we already talked about that, and then Black Mile to the Surface we just talked about, and Algiers. I guess I'm gonna talk about that really quick. It's kind of like rock gospel. I can't compare them to any other bands. It's fascinating to listen to. It's so good. It's just I get into it every time I listen to it. It's so different. The sound is just so hype. I love it.
Hype.
Algiers, I believe is how you spell that.
Algiers.
Should look them up.
Isn't
because
that a town or something?
I think it is, yeah. They only have 2 albums, and that was their second one after a while, and it was just amazing. And then if you want to, since I just talked for like an hour, you go ahead and mention any albums so far this year you like.
Well, so I mentioned earlier about the Oh Hellos, and there are 2 EPs that they came out with. Their first EP, Notos, which is Latin for acquaintances, came out late 2017, and then their second EP came out called Eurus. Came out earlier, like actually not too long ago, and I was listening to it. It was so nice yesterday, and I went for a walk on the trail, and I was just listening to that playlist that I talked about.
Yeah,
and it's just so good. It's like so happy,
nice.
And like Oh Hellos have always been one of my favorite bands.
Yeah,
and I saw
really
them
good.
live, and one of the best concerts I've ever been to.
Nice,
but their music still sounds the same, but they keep getting better at it.
Yeah, just
like
more
it's
tight.
Yeah, it's more tight, and they put a lot more dynamics in it. And I remember playing it on my phone one time, and I was like, "Oh, it's okay." It's it's like kind of, it's just hellos.
Yeah.
But like you got to listen to it in your headphones, and I would highly suggest going on a walk on
What's
a nice
the album
day.
called?
Well,
I'll download it right now.
The first EP is Notos. And the second EP is Eurus, which is EURYS, I think. Just look up the Oh Hellos, and it's their latest 2 EPs.
They have a full-length album that came out this year.
Wait, what?
Apparently, I just looked them up. They have No Toast They have Dear Wormwood. Wait, that's 2015. I'm
Yeah,
so
it's
sorry.
2015.
That
You
that
got me
looked
worried
so
there.
much like 2018 to me for a
Okay.
sec. That looked like 2018.
Dear Wormwood's a great album.
Sorry about that.
You better
False
be.
hope. But yeah, No Toast. That's from last year. I'll give that a listen.
Yeah. Trying to think. Levi the Poet is coming out with an album next month. And I'm super excited about that. He has already released like 1 or 2 singles already. And
Are they good?
They're good, but they're musically they're like more dark.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like, and it's more hip hoppy kind of too.
Interesting.
I mean, it's not hip hop, but it sounds more. Well, actually, one of his singles, he actually has a featured artist of a guy who's like a spoken word / rapper. So, but it still sounds good.
Yeah.
And
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. And his singles are really good. Tyson Motzenbacher, one of my favorite artists. He's like a folk singer songwriter musician on Tooth and Nail Records.
Yeah.
His album Letters to Lost Loves, I think it was like 2016, is probably my favorite album from that year.
Nice.
But he also came out with an EP last year, and he's come out with another one, and it's just really good. And I highly recommend Tyson Motzenbacher. And I know I had one more. Shaky Graves. Actually, I got 2 artists that are coming out with albums. Shaky Graves and Lord Huron.
Oh, yeah.
They're 2 really great artists, and I've gotten back into listening to Lord Huron.
Excellent.
It's really great, and they're coming out real soon, and I'm really excited. So
Dope.
I already know that 2018 is going to be a good year for music.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah, I noticed about last year that there wasn't a whole lot of folk music.
It's true, yeah. There was a lot of good music last year, but not a lot of folk.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I've branched out, from folk music, but I still kind of miss hearing some good new stuff from like folk indie. So I'm excited. We got Lord Huron and Shaky Graves. Even though, by the sounds of it, I know that Lord Huron is sounding a little bit more psychedelic with this one. So, but I know that it's going to be good. So,
Good deal.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Cool. For 2018 so far, I'll just mention like 2 albums so far this year that I can think of. Here Come the Runts by AWOL Nation. I don't think it's gonna be one of my favorite albums of the year, but it's a really fun album. The songs that are good on it are really good. Here Come the Runts. It's a little jarring with its mixing because it goes from like this like intense like electronic sounds. It goes back and forth a little abruptly. Passion's really good. Handyman. 7/6 of Dynamite's the best song on the album. I love it. It's a little folky, actually, which is weird for AWOL Nation. Cannonball, Miracle Man. It has all the good songs on it. I'll probably listen to it on and off throughout the year, but I don't think it'll be one of my favorites, but I really like it. And this, I won't be surprised if this is one of my favorite albums at the end of the year, is Little Dark Age by MGMT. I was talking about that to you earlier. It's amazing, like almost the whole way through. It's great. It's because MGMT's last album wasn't really that good in my opinion, and I love MGMT.
I've never really gotten into MGMT.
I think you would like them. I really do.
I tried getting into. I remember.
I feel like you'd like the
years
new
ago.
album.
Okay, I remember years ago, and I tried listening to them, and I'm like, all they sing about is like getting high.
Yeah, the new album has really good writing.
Yeah.
Like it's actually really good, story wise and stuff. It's got interesting.
Like, am I
themes.
not wrong in remembering?
You're not. You're not
saying
wrong.
A lot about like, drugs and such.
It's totally not wrong. I can't remember if the new album has any of that, but a lot of it is interesting stories rather than just that. So
nice.
So those are 2 albums so far. Like albums I'm excited for. I can't really think of too much. I'm excited for the Levi the Poet one. I know Gorillaz is apparently releasing another full length this year, and I thought it was going to be I thought it was going to be a B-side album, The Humans, but it's apparently just a whole new album, and that surprises me. And even though Humans was disappointing, I'm always going to be excited for more Gorillaz.
Yeah,
because not
'Cause it's
a
been
band.
so
Every
long.
album can't be the best thing, so they're gonna try different stuff, and I won't like all of it, and that's totally fine. Maybe you'll like this next one more.
Yeah.
So Gorillaz, I'm really crossing my fingers. I really do think Me Without You might drop an album this year, and
Really?
there's no signs of that, but I'm thinking that because, I want to say it was, It's All Crazy, It's All Whatever. It's a really long album name. Their more folky album, that was 2009. And then 10 Stories was 2012. Pale Horses was 2015. So it's like all of them at 3-year intervals. And now it's 2018. It's another 3 years. I feel like if they might keep up with that pattern, they might release an album this year. And he was like helping Paramore with some music and stuff. So, and they're like touring, so it's not like they're not doing anything. But I am really crossing my fingers they're going to release an album this year or do anything. They had like a bit of a B-side with some demo tracks in 2016, but that was like more of an EP thing and stuff. But that was like a B-side to Pale Horses, essentially.
Yeah.
So I'm really crossing my fingers that's going to happen. Who else? I feel like there was at least one more band that was releasing stuff this year, but I can't really remember.
So it's very possible that Mumford & Sons are going to announce a new album
Yeah,
very
that's
soon
right.
this year.
Which
because they've
maybe
already...
I know Mumford & Sons gets a lot of hate now for some reason. I don't really...
I think it's died over that
Yeah.
now it's kind of been trimmed down to like their true fans are paying attention now.
There's just like it kind of like, which they used to be like one of my favorite bands. I wouldn't really call them one of my favorite bands anymore, but I still like them, and they got me into the music I like now.
Yeah.
And I still really like their albums, and I think they're great. But I just never really got how they became this band that a lot of people started hating on so much.
It's kind of like...
it was like how Coldplay got
Yeah,
me, which I
Coldplay.
kind of
It's
jumped on the
not-
Coldplay
It's not
hate
warranted
bandwagon,
or
but
deserved. It's just,
Yeah.
you know...
that new EP they released was like great. It was
Yeah.
so different, and so I think they're gonna
Johannesburg.
do some interesting stuff.
Yeah, because they had been recording since last year.
Yeah.
Even though they've been like touring and doing different shows now,
Yeah.
but they've still been writing a lot of music, and they've made some posts on social media of them
Yeah.
being in the studio, and it's very possible that they've been re-collaborating with Baba Maul and a lot of the same
Nice.
people from their EP Johannesburg. So whether that's all related or not, like with the same project, don't know yet. But
I'll always be, no matter, even if I get tired of them, which I did for a while, but I'm always going to really respect them
yeah,
as musicians. And
they're still my
no
favorite.
matter, yeah, it's fine. That's okay. They were great live. They're so talented. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, so like, no matter what, if they release new music, I'm always going to be interested to see what they do. Because their last album ended up being a lot different. So I'm like, maybe they'll keep doing different stuff. And then their EP was like very tribal. And you know how I am about like kind of jungly, tribal sounding stuff. I love it. So it's like maybe they'll go even more crazy with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they've said that like one of their greatest fears is just doing the same thing over and over again.
Which that was kind of their first two albums, and I think you could really tell that they were like okay with their third because they wanted to do a little more. It was a little more. It wasn't as folky.
Yeah, it was hardly folky at all.
Yeah, which
honestly.
I respect. It's kind of like I feel like that album is like kind of turning it to us a little bit, like how Assured Force are folky, and I would say where we're at now is like how Mumford and Sons. Not to compare us to Mumford and Sons because I don't really think we're that. We've been compared to them in the past, but I wouldn't say we're. I'm stumbling so bad right now. I wouldn't say we're that similar to them, really. But in terms of sound changing from like folky to more alternative or rock,
Thing is
it's
that
kind of like our transition.
Yeah, the thing is though, we kind of tend to like go back and forth.
Yeah, which I like.
I think
cool.
they're also kind of finding the middle ground too, because there's one of their new songs that they've written, but it hasn't been recorded yet. But Winston went back on the banjo for that one.
Oh, nice.
Even though it is still kind of rocky, but he was playing the banjo for that. So.
That's cool.
So yeah, they haven't got
folk and rock is a great mix. So.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, music 2018 is gonna be dope. Hopefully, we're releasing more stuff in 2018, like for sure.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a
February,
great year.
even if it ends up not releasing until December, like it's gonna come out this year. Or
Yeah, that's
EP.
usually how our timeline works.
Yeah, so it might be a few months, but we're determined. We're only doing like 3 songs, right? So if we really kick it, we could have it out soon. But
I think we could shoot for more.
probably, I think we should.
Yeah.
We'll just play it by ear.
Yeah.
I'm excited. But
Yeah.
So there we go.
There we go. There's the.
That's a podcast.
That's a podcast.
Man, that's a podcast, man. That's a podcast right there.
Yes, I don't know what you're doing right now.
I don't know.
You're just looking at me very intently.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
Yeah, dude, it's
That's
a
a
podcast.
That's how we should end every podcast. That's a podcast.
Should I just
music's
give like the
playing right
usual
now.
plugs?
Yeah, sure.
Check us out on Facebook.com/Music of Sherwood. We're on Spotify, iTunes, Bandcamp,
YouTube.
YouTube.
You just search. I can't talk today, man.
Well, we've been talking
it's because
for
I
like
drank this Red Bull and
we've been
so
talking for like
hyper.
2 hours straight, anyway.
My
So
Lord. But yeah, Sherwood Forest Band. You search that, you find us.
yes, pretty much. And check out our new music video too. Bless
Yeah,
you.
No Retreat. Oh, we made a music video for that, and it was freaking good.
Yes,
was
if
really
we do
good.
say so ourselves.
It was the best thing ever made by any human.
Take that, Leonardo
Not-
da Vinci.
Not even joking. But yeah,
Take that, Michelangelo.
good job. I'm proud of you.
All right. This is the Podwood Forecast. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, tune in to hear Mitchell say.
Beans.
I wanted to do like a VeggieTales, like tune in next time to hear Laddie say. Blah, 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 whatever he would say. Anyways,
Please help me.
you guys have a good night, good morning, good afternoon, whatever. We don't care. No, we do care. We care too much. He's just being sarcastic.
Oh yes, now we'll take everything we've loved and put it in our pistol and cargo. And when you pull the trigger, you'll realize it's your mind, not the gun. You know what I'm talking about. Even if I have to scream and shout, oh, I swear I've been listening. I've been listening. Now it'll pull from my mouth like a true creative rhyming sound.
All right. Yay. We're reacting to us talking.
What great
5
taste.
years.
I actually
What-
don't know what it is yet.
what
so
good
maybe
lads.
I'm wondering if I'm going to horribly disagree with myself.
I already know that there's a couple that I disagree with, but we'll get to that. But thanks for watching.
I know there's one thing on there that I was probably a little too generous with.
We'll see. I think I know what you're talking about. But
Yeah.
yeah. So now, well, first of all, thank you for listening this far to that episode. I hope it was enjoyable for you guys to listen to little young us. And so now we're going to talk about, we're going to see how much we've changed over the years since
You've changed, man.
since the beginning of 2018. Yeah. So I'm going to read off. Since it was like so unstructured, I kind of had to do a little bit of guesswork in terms of like what our rankings were.
Yeah.
So confusing. But yeah, was there something that you wanted to say?
No, I'm ready.
Yeah,
ready for it.
there's nothing to react to yet. Certain things I'll get through first before I get to the official list, because in this episode it was a little weird because we not only talked about albums, but we talked about you especially, you talked about like singles and EPs and such.
Oh.
And we talked about like honorable mentions and biggest disappointments.
My favorite.
What?
My favorite.
Oh yeah.
I love Disappointments.
Well, speaking of disappointments, I'll start off with that. Your biggest disappointment was Humans by Gorillaz.
Oh, I did have that as a disappointment.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think you were still, re-listening to it, I think you were still a little generous about it. But you were
probably
just getting to the point where you were realizing that it's not
If
a good
I was
album.
at least listing it as a disappointment, I feel like I was kind of there. Because then I eventually got to the point where I was like, the album sucks. And I don't want to derail this conversation too much, but...
That's fine.
Listening to Cracker Island recently.
Oh, yeah? Do you not like it?
I kind of think Humans is better
than
really? Cracker Island by just a little bit.
Wow.
I think there's a few songs on Cracker Island I like, but when I think, I'm like, a lot of the singles and some songs off of Humans, I think they have like the same amount of songs I like, but Humans has like more of an identity to me, if that's weird to say.
Interesting.
Like,
I don't think I disagree at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I agree at all.
Yeah, I think Cracker Island is like mega forgettable.
Huh. It's not my favorite.
There's some
for
good
sure.
songs, but I'm like, Humans is way longer, so it has more bad songs, but I think it has like an equal amount of good songs.
It's a bit more like memorable.
And it has more of like an identity as like a phase of Gorillaz, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Where it's like it's even though it's bad,
They're very
it's like
similar,
more
like in
distinct
terms of how much I like them, but I think if I had to choose one, I'm like, Cracker Island feels more like a Now or The Fall, where the Humans at least feels like a big phase.
I like this better than the Now. Because
I like the Now more.
Yeah, I know you're
just a little bit.
That.
I'm a little bit of a Now defender.
Yeah, you are.
Not by much though.
This is Cracker Island is for me is like a better version of the Now.
That's kind of how I was feeling at first, but I think the Now is just like, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
They're very similar. I think they are basically like the same album, but
interesting.
They are. I think Cracker Island is like produced and sounds a little better, but I think the Now has more songs I like.
Yeah. Interesting. It's a hot take there.
Yeah. Anyways, Gorillaz review. Something popped up on your computer.
Oh.
I don't know if that's important.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's just something unrelated.
Gotcha. But yeah.
I think,
I definitely am not like I'm not like a Humans revisionist though. I still
Right.
find that to be a very disappointing record overall.
It is, yeah. And we were also like, I think I was quick to dislike it faster than you, but
yeah,
like both of us I think had like recency bias because it was like it had been years.
I liked all the singles when they were coming out, and I remember like you weren't liking it. I was like, no, it's great, man.
Shut up! And
then
you
like
beat me
eventually
up and
settled
cut me
it
up all over my body
because that was like their. It's kind of like the new Star Wars stuff where it's like Episode 7 comes out. It's like, oh my gosh, and that, you kind of go back
it had been
in hindsight.
so long since the last album. So
and now we've had like 3 more Gorillaz albums since then. So
which
it's
is
like
it's crazy.
So it's like going back to it as just like an album and not some like big comeback. I'm like, yeah, it's like it's as good as like Cracker Island and the Now probably, if a little worse. But,
yeah. I think it's interesting to talk about Cracker Island because I think there's a lot in the music that we talk about that kind of mirrors this year because a lot of similar artists that have come out with new stuff this year.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting.
True.
But yeah, that was your biggest disappointment. And it was also a disappointment for me. We actually talked about Humans for a long time in that episode.
I'm sure, yeah, because that was kind of in a very big like that was probably around my peak like hype with Gorillaz.
Yeah,
because I was listening to them a ton, and then Humans came out, and I was listening to other old albums. I still obviously like Gorillaz a lot, but I feel like around that era is where I listened to them the most. So both of us were very much like into Gorillaz like as much as we've been. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. And then Song Machine came out, and we were like, "Oh my god,
that was great!
They're good again." and now, I guess you don't like them anymore.
Yeah, I mean, at least Song Machine is awesome.
Yeah,
and I don't even think I would say I really dislike any other stuff. I just found like stuff like the Now Humans and Cracker Island I feel like just very middle of the road on, but all of them have songs I really like.
That's true. Yeah,
that's at least one thing is. even if a Gorillaz album is like kind of middle of the road, at least there's
going to be something.
There's
to
gonna be
enjoy.
some songs that are like fantastic still, so they're not all like irredeemable trash or anything. It's like The Fall is like their worst. Like I would never listen to any.
Oh,
like,
yeah, I
there's
don't-
like one song on The Fall.
That's the one album that like nobody mentions because
there's
it's like,
two
oh, that doesn't count.
There's 2 songs from it I would listen to, like straight up only 2 songs.
Yeah.
So it's like at least it's not The Fall.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. We have a whole episode about Gorillaz if you guys want to listen to it.
Yeah.
Even though Song Machine hadn't completely come out by then, we still talk
Yeah.
about some of the singles.
Yeah. Song Machine was so good.
Yeah. I think we both named it our favorite album of that year.
That's like their
sure.
true like Phase 4 album to me.
Yeah.
Like if I think of like their debut, Demon Days, Plastic Beach, and Song Machine, I'm like, ooh, what a run. Nothing else happened.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Okay, so honorable mentions for you. I'm interested if you even have listened to these since then.
Probably not.
Were Beast Epic by Iron and Wine,
Oh yeah.
Phantom Anthem by August Burns Red, and
August Burns. I don't listen to them anymore.
yeah, I don't really either. I mean, they're talented guys, but
I think that album, Phantom Anthem, I think that was the one that had like King of Sorrow or something.
I don't even know. I think
that was
point,
the last August Burns Red album I cared about.
Yeah, it was at that point where I had dropped off.
I think at one point I listened to like 2 songs from it the past couple years again because there's like one song that's cool, but yeah, definitely honorable mention makes sense to me still.
Yeah, sure. And then Unpeeled by Cage the Elephant. I think that's what it was called. You were kind of iffy about the title. What it was?
That was their.
They're like covers of their own songs, but like
it was like a live album.
okay.
Let me look at what it's called.
Yeah, that's another band I haven't really.
Yeah,
cared
Unpeeled
for a while.
Yeah, I forgot that. That's pretty good. I think
Okay.
I probably made it an honorable mention because it was just a live album. But
Right. Yeah.
I'm not really huge on Cage the Elephant much these days.
Yeah, me
but
neither.
but I remember liking that.
Yeah.
I would probably listen to it still. But
Okay. Cool.
I played it. I feel like a year ago I just listened to that randomly because I was like, oh, I haven't thought about Cage the Elephant for a while. Listened to like a couple of their records and then just like forgot about them again. They're one of those bands for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah,
They
have a good
definitely
song.
had their moment in the spotlight.
Yeah, they only really have one album at this point. I think is like,
Great.
ooh, yeah, I'd go back to that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And then you mentioned a couple EPs and singles. You mentioned Velvet Face EP by Half Noise.
Oh, I still listen to that.
Yeah.
That's a great one. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Demo EP by Steve Lacy.
Oh, that's good too.
And then the single Stranger by Miki Fiki. Remember those guys?
Oh yeah, Mickey Figgy.
Yeah.
They're cool.
And then My Gingy by Sunset Roller Coaster.
What in the heck is that? I was like, wow, I'm consistent with all these. Like,
I'm pretty sure I got the title right because you also kind of botched that up.
what
when
was
you
the
were trying-
band?
Sunset Roller Coaster.
I gotta like see it.
Yeah. It's like some sort of like indie pop kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I recognize this album art.
There was like one song called My Gingy, Jinji. Yeah, that's the one.
Oh, I forgot about this song. Oh man,
You're welcome.
That's a good one. I haven't listened to it like since then. But
good.
yeah, I got like weirdly into them for like a few months and then totally forgot about them. But I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so
Thanks,
that was
Past Mitchell. Yeah, that's a super
Thanks,
chill
old
song.
Mitchell.
I like that a lot. It's very much like it's like Crumb stuff. It's very like psychedelic, just reverb
Oh, yeah.
indie rock stuff. But,
yeah.
yeah,
Cool. Yeah, so that was your EPs and singles. So
cool.
you still listen
Well,
to
I
most
only
of those.
didn't recognize one, so that wasn't too bad.
Yeah. Cool. And now going into your albums, and I'm going to start from the bottom. Now we're here. And this is, how many albums is this? So it's not like really a set 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, 11, I guess. And 2 of them are actually from the same artist. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Oh,
But
yeah.
starting from what I think was the bottom, because again, this was a lot of guesswork.
Yeah.
Sort of Scarlet by Red Scarves.
Oh yeah.
Where's Your Light by Terra Terra.
Okay, yeah, I was very focused on like shouting out like
Local
stuff at the
Yeah.
time. That Terra Terra album's good too. I'm a bad local supporter. I probably haven't listened to any local stuff like since we were playing locally.
We're out of the loop now,
Yeah.
man. We need to start going to local shows again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Gumboot Soup by King. Gumboot Soup and Flying Microtonal Banana, both by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
When I was going through the releases, I screenshot any I thought that I would mention currently.
Yeah.
That I would mention currently, and I was curious if I mentioned at least Gumboot Soup.
Yeah.
I knew I would probably mention Microtonal, but yeah, those are. I would stand by those. Still.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Saturation by Brockhampton.
Definitely, I do not care about Brockhampton anymore.
Really?
I fell off. No, Brockhampton was the most like I'm hype on these guys. They're the best
A lot of
ever.
people
And
were
like
very
a
hyped
year
on them.
later, like
You just
no one cares about them anymore.
really.
Yeah, they really like. They
I never got on that bandwagon.
They put out a couple albums recently that were just like bad.
Oh yeah.
And I remember really liking Saturation 3, but I just like I tried listening to it again recently, and it's like it's still good, but
It's fine.
I don't care about it at all
Yeah.
anymore. It was like a year ago. I remember I went back to some of their stuff, and I was like obsessed with these guys for a month.
That's funny.
But yeah, no, I knew I was going to, when I saw it on the release thing. I was like, I know I mentioned that, and I'm
Yeah,
not
you
gonna
were big
agree.
on them for a while. I
Yeah,
remember.
there was like a year where I was like, oh, they're awesome. But
Yeah.
I really don't care about them anymore, if I'm being honest.
I think this is going to be interesting hearing our perspectives now, because now that we're going to have the version where I edit in,
You get to hear me
clips.
like loving it, and then I'm
Well,
going to be
we
like,
might get
never
people-
mind.
We might get people like into it because like I have clips of the music that we're talking about for the
True.
most part. I couldn't fit it all in,
And then we're going to turn around and get them out of it.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, "Oh, I'm gonna check this out," and then we're like, "I hate it now.
Yeah.
it's so bad."
I wouldn't say I hate it. I just like really, I just wouldn't care to ever listen to them again.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, speaking of hip hop, next you had "Flower Boy" by Tyler the Creator.
I figured out, I saw that. I didn't like screenshot it as like I would definitely still hold that as a favorite. I still think that's a really good album, but I'm not as big on, I think I was just trying to get in on the Tyler hype because like everyone like loved him, and Igor like came out later too, but I can be
mid.
honest. I don't really
Yeah,
care
'cause
that
you were
much about
saying how
Tyler the Creator.
You were saying how you didn't really get into "Call Me If You Get Lost."
Yeah, I didn't really
came
like
out.
that. I liked Igor and like Flower Boy, but I don't really care for much of his other albums. And yeah, he's like really good. I think he has an
Yeah.
awesome style, but
It's not your
I
thing.
definitely would be lying if I said I consistently listened to like his two albums I really liked.
Yeah,
But
Damn.
yeah, I would probably, that'd be like an honorable mention for me at this point, probably.
sure. Yeah,
You know, but he's cool, but
yeah, whatever.
I'm not like a huge fan.
Cool. Well, then next would have probably been "After Laughter" by Paramore.
Yeah, that I definitely screenshot that. That and one other album I would put as like my favorites of that
Okay.
year. I don't know if I
See, here's the
had
thing.
that ranked at all.
I can't remember if this was a part of it, but you had like a 4 or 5-way tie for your number one. And
Really?
you could, yeah, in the episode, you couldn't decide which was
After
your
After
favorite.
had to have been that because that is still a very relevant album to me.
Yeah.
Like I never really stopped listening to that album
Yeah.
every year.
And then now they got a
still-
new album.
and
this
their new
year.
album's freaking great.
Yeah,
Like
I
probably
haven't
almost as
listened
good.
to it.
Yeah, After Laughter was kind of like became. Yeah, I was like looking. I mean, I know which ones are probably going to be the other mentions. But I was
Yeah.
like, 2017 had a lot of like really like
It was a good year.
good sticks
Yeah.
with me. Like
I
albums
have
that
a
stuck
lot
with
on
me.
my list that I would call like some of my top favorite albums of all time.
Yeah, there are at least 3 that you're probably about to mention that I would still consider like
yeah,
very like inspirational like albums I love.
yeah, yeah.
Some of all time, I'm sure.
Well, like I said, you had like a 4 or 5-way tie with all of these. I can't remember if you included Paramore with that, but it was a tie between or amongst "The Underside of Power" by Algiers.
Oh yeah, Algiers. I kind of forgot about that album.
Yeah, it's funny because you almost forgot about
I-
it in the episode.
A few months ago, I actually I remembered that band. I was like, oh yeah, they had an album I really. This is literally like when I was starting my current job.
Yeah.
I was like talking about music with coworkers, and they mentioned like a specific genre, and I was like, this reminds me of something. I was like, oh yeah, that Algiers album. What was it called? And I like had to like figure out what that album was called.
Yeah.
because I haven't really listened to it much since. But I re-listened to some of it. And I was like, this still rocks. But
Yeah. obviously wasn't.
It obviously didn't
effective.
it would probably be in like a top 10 for that year, but
Okay.
I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, this is like the best of that year. But
Okay.
I still like that album. It's just I didn't consistently listen to it.
Okay, cool. And then next was "Crack Up" by Fleet Foxes.
That was 2017.
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't see that when I was looking through the list.
I mean,
Shoot,
you said it was in there. So.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely up there.
Yeah.
That's an all-timer for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite Fleet Foxes album.
Yeah.
Just saying a lot because they're like one of my favorite bands.
Yeah, I think in the episode you said that they were your second favorite band at the time.
I wouldn't say that now, but they're pretty core to
Yeah.
my taste still.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. And then and then it would have been "Goths" by the Mountain Goats.
That would be my number one that year.
Really?
Because that's my probably I've come to the realization that's my favorite Mountain Goats album, and
Yeah,
they're
same.
my actual second favorite band.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like that and Heretic Pride, and I feel like I've come around on Goths being like the one I've listened to the most, like for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Because especially after listening to this episode, I came around hard on this album since
Were
then.
you not crazy for it at the
I
time?
wasn't crazy about it at first because it was so different.
Man,
but,
I was the defender the whole time.
well, like I said in the album,
that was the album that got me into them, which is weird.
Yeah.
Because that is like their weird album.
It is.
And I remember like, yeah, because Matt was like showing me one of their albums, like it was pretty good, and I kept listening to it. I was like, what's their other stuff? I was like, no, their other stuff sounds like
it was definitely a grower for me.
Yeah.
And in the episode, I said like, yeah, I feel like I should have it higher in the list, and I definitely do now.
Yeah,
But yeah.
that's like a top 10 album for me of all time.
Yeah, it's my favorite from them.
Mm-hmm.
And then "A Black Mile to the Surface,"
Yeah,
Manchester Orchestra.
That's the other one I expected. That is like a really tough tie way. That is a tough tie.
I can imagine how difficult it was.
I still
for you.
stand by that. If I had to order it, I would probably say Goths. I can't really decide between Goths or Black Mile. See,
Really?
I still am in the same headspace. I can't
Yeah.
Those two I can't really choose between, but I would put those above After Laughter, and then probably Crack Up
Okay.
is like kind of tied with After Laughter.
If you had to choose, like if we were doing an episode now, what would you just
Between
pick?
those four?
What would you pick as your number one between Goths and A Black Mile? Just for the sake of the episode.
Goths.
Okay.
I'd probably have to go Goths. I think I listen to it more. I think Black Mile has more sentimental value to me, but in terms of an album I would want to listen to more often, there's other Manchester records I could listen to.
Yeah.
But Goths is so distinct. So I'd probably have to go with Goths just by like a little bit if I had to.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is definitely I definitely stand by that for sure. Those four are like really hard to choose a favorite between.
Sure.
I want to see which other ones I screenshot.
Oh yeah, what would your list
Ones
look
I
like
didn't
now?
mention that I've listened to since then. I screenshot the King Gizzard albums. This Old Dog by Mac DeMarco. That would be like an honorable mention.
Oh, okay.
That's a really good album. Perfume Genius. They had an album called No Shape, and then Pons put out an album called The Weather. Those are good.
Okay.
Wouldn't be favorites or anything. They'd just be like honorables.
Right, yeah.
Big
Okay.
Thief also had an album that year that I have since listened to because their album last year I loved
Right,
so much.
yeah.
So I went and listened to their stuff, and they had an album called Capacity that is great.
Okay.
Brand New had their last album that year too, even though I know they're like controversial because of the weird stuff with the singer. But like that album was a good album. But yeah, unfortunate. And then Queens of the Stone Age, they had an album that, I mean, it's not an amazing album compared to some of their other stuff, but it was good.
Yeah.
Villains.
Can you
And
like
then-
talk in your mic real quick?
Check. Hello. Am I
Why
like
would keep talking.
checking? Hello.
Oh, okay, weird.
Was I hope I was recording that whole time.
A little bit. I think people could still
Yeah.
hear your voice, but
You can turn me up in post, I'm sure. Hopefully it sounds okay.
sure, yeah. I just probably have to get a new cable,
Yeah.
but it'll be
Gotcha.
fine. Yeah.
But
yeah,
yeah.
continue.
Other ones I didn't mention that I would at least kind of mention. Yeah, Queens of the Stone Age, Foo Fighters, Concrete and Gold. I don't love that album, but it has some really
yeah.
good songs.
Yeah.
I don't know if it wouldn't be like a favorite, but it has some good songs.
I think I remember that being. I don't think I talked about it in the episode, but it was like an honorable mention for me.
And then the last honorable mention I'd put is probably Chris Stapleton's album.
Oh, you've been getting into Chris Stapleton?
From a Room Volume 2.
Okay.
I think I've listened to that. I listened to like a few of his random records, and I'm pretty sure I listened to this one. I'm not like a big fan or anything, but I like Chris Stapleton a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I've listened to that, so I probably would have mentioned that if I listened to it at the time. But
Okay.
but yeah, Chris Stapleton's cool.
Okay.
His last album was great too.
Yeah, I need to get into him more.
That was
like him.
pretty. I don't feel like I forgot about some stuff, but I feel like my opinions haven't like drastically changed.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
My top four would definitely still be like the ones I struggle between now.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised at how consistent it seems to be.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, hey, if it's good, it's good, you know?
The fact there was only like
Except
maybe
for-
like 2 or 3 albums that didn't end up sticking with me like I thought they would is kind of
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can trust your opinions.
The fact I
Pretty
liked
good.
those 4 that much,
Yeah.
and it wasn't just like a recency bias, like they actually did stick with me. I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah.
So
Couple other notes, because we did talk about a couple other things relating to music. We talked about like music that we were liking so far in that year.
Oh.
So I wrote down a couple notes, something that you mentioned. You mentioned that you were liking MGMT's Little Dark Age.
great album, yeah.
Yeah?
Yes,
Okay.
I still love that album. It's great.
Yeah. And then you also
It's
mentioned...
probably it's my favorite album of theirs, probably.
I still haven't checked out much of MGMT.
They're really
I was
good.
kind of turned off by my first initial experience with them.
Oh, really?
It was with their earlier music, which everyone says that it's not as good, you know?
I like the album that has like the wave on it and the cat.
I don't even remember.
I don't know what
but-
it's. I forget what it's called. That's a great one. But I really only listened to like 2 of their albums.
Yeah.
Their last one they put out like last year was apparently really bad. I didn't listen to it, but
Oh.
but Little Dark Age rocks. I still think that's a great album.
Cool. And you also mentioned, which I think is really funny and interesting, because I think the last time we hung out, you were talking about this. All
Oh,
of a
really?
Sudden. Here Come the Runts by AWOL Nation.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
You were like, and I hadn't even listened to them at that point of this
Yeah.
episode. You're like, I've kind of been listening to this new AWOL Nation album, and it's kind of good.
Yeah, that is funny because it was just a couple weeks ago. It just came across my Spotify. Just randomly, and
Yeah.
I just was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about this."
Yeah.
like I forgot about AWOL Nation in general, but that album specifically just like made it. It was one of those things where I saw it and I was brought back to like that year.
Right,
And I was like, "Oh
yeah.
man, yeah." And I re-listened to it, and
Yeah.
there's some stinkers on it, but that album has some really fun stuff.
It's
that
pretty
I was like, "This
solid
is
for the
kind of a
most
cool
part.
album." Like
Yeah.
I was just re-listening to it, the other week, and I was like, "Yeah, there's some not great stuff on it, but
Yeah, there's a lot from that album.
it
I
has some
still
really
listen to.
fun songs."
Yeah.
but I wouldn't say it's great, but
Yeah.
it's a kind of a guilty pleasure. Sort
Sure,
of.
yeah.
It's like
And-
the only album by them I really would.
Yeah,
listen
they haven't
to.
really released anything else since then that I've been crazy about. But,
Yeah.
you know. Also, just another additional note, which I think is pretty interesting. At the time of this episode, you were suspicious that a new Me Without You album was coming out. And then they did, right?
Yeah, because what year was Entitled? Wait, why was it? Did I say like why I was suspicious?
You were
of
just
this?
kind of sensing it because of the time that had
Yeah, that's right.
the time
'cause,
between albums and
Yeah.
such.
Oh, Entitled was 2018.
Yeah.
Oh, 2018 changed my life, dude.
yeah.
Yeah, because I was looking at their releases and it was like, yeah, it was usually like 3. Yeah, all their albums are almost from Brother Sister onward. It was always 3 years.
Yeah, that's what you were
And I was
saying.
like, it's been 3 years. There's got to be a new. And then like they dropped Julie as a single with the EP, and then Untitled.
Which I
came
don't.
out.
It hadn't. Nothing had come out.
Yeah,
at that
no, I
point.
was just like,
This was just your gut.
They weren't even. Yeah, they weren't even hinting at it yet.
Yeah.
Or marketing. I just like assumed it would happen because I was like, oh,
And then
I
you were
won't wanna-
right. You ended up being right. They came out with the Untitled EP and then the
Man,
album.
I want to go back to a time where like I was looking forward to New Me Without You music because that's never gonna happen again.
Yeah.
But at least they put out like one of my favorite albums like ever made.
Yeah.
Like that, I still think that's like
Did
it's
you
like
say
that.
that was your favorite from that year?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's almost my
Oh.
favorite. It's almost my favorite
no.
album of theirs too.
Yeah.
So like that's huge. It's that, and I still lean to Brother Sister more, but Untitled is like that is and the EP, which I listen to those like literally just yesterday.
They are really good.
But yeah, those are like wildly important albums.
Oh, of
the
course.
EP and the LP. So
I think I would have even had them in my at least top 5
Yeah.
of that year. I can't really remember.
I gotta
though.
go listen to myself be speculating about a new Me Without You album.
Yeah,
that's so pure.
Pretty entertaining, yeah.
It'll never happen again.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm here for you.
That's cool. Yeah, I forgot that came out in 2018.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well,
I wonder if there's an episode where like I talk about it when it came out.
No.
No? We didn't do like a 2018 wrap up at all?
No, because we didn't. We didn't have anything going on 2018 other than Talk the Pulse.
Oh, true.
You know,
yeah,
that's all strictly local music.
That's
for
wild.
that.
Yeah, the only record I have of my initial thoughts on it is like some Reddit post I made where I was talking like a bunch of people on the Me Without You subreddit, and we were all like talking about it when we were all like live like posting about it when it came out.
That's cool.
I was obsessed with it from day one.
Yeah.
I'm glad that
We did.
it stuck.
We did have our Me Without You episode that we did, but that would have been like a year after it. So
right.
would have been.
I feel like in that
kinda
episode,
fresh.
I kind of was hard on like A to B Life.
I don't think so.
I remember being like, yeah, it's pretty good, but I don't really listen to it. Which I'm like, and then I like a year later, I went and like was listening to it again. And I was like, man, why was I like saying this is like my least favorite?
I can't remember. I mean,
I feel like I was really like,
did
I
that.
was like, I remember saying things that would probably make Me Without You fans really mad,
yeah.
but I'm just at like a point of similitude where I'm just like every album's 10 out of 10.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna go through my what I talked about in the episode really quick.
Yes.
I'll start with. I didn't write down my disappointments for some reason. So one of them was Humans, of course.
Yeah.
But I also mentioned May had come out with an album that year. That
Oh yeah, they had the
disappointed me.
song that was like 10 minutes long.
Yeah, well, I think that was just a single before the album. I think it was.
Well,
just
it was like
its
the
own-
morning, afternoon, evening album, right? And the first song is like the
it was just
with
the
the
acronym
fisherman.
of MAE.
Yeah. I remember thinking I really liked that album, but whenever I
First
go back
couple
to
tracks
it,
I remember being okay, but
surprised
the rest
I didn't
of it
mention
was
that as
really...
a. Maybe I hadn't listened to
You
it
did
yet.
talk about it when I mentioned it. You were like, "Oh yeah, I did listen to that," and you basically said the same thing. Where it's like,
really?
"Yeah, I don't like it anymore."
I like the first 4 songs on it probably.
yeah, pretty much.
I'm more consistent than I give myself credit for. I thought I was gonna like have changed my mind and like on everything.
Well, I mean, you change your mind. It's just that like you mentioned that you changed your mind. You're just like, yeah, I liked it initially, but now I don't.
True, yeah.
So, but yeah, it was a bigger disappointment for me because like I'm more of a May fan than you are.
Yeah, because the Everglow is like one of your favorites.
Yeah, I love the Everglow, and I'm still trying to get it on vinyl. But you know, oh yeah, no, I did write biggest disappointments. Yeah, honorable mention for me is just because it's a cover album was Under the Covers Volume 2 by Ninja Sex Party.
Oh right.
Which I mean, I still jam to their stuff, so
Yeah.
you know, it's still good stuff. I didn't mention any EPs or singles, but I left it strictly to albums.
Yeah.
And so going to albums, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11. I guess this is my top 11, I guess, of that year. I also put Sort of Scarlet by Red Scarves and Where's Your Light by Terra Terra. Very decent albums for like local releases and such, but can't say I've really listened to them that much.
Yeah, we were being we just wanted to shout out our locals at the time, you know.
Yeah. Funnily enough, Emily Blue from Terra Terra is still making music.
Oh, nice.
She's not even doing the Emily Blue stuff anymore.
Really?
Some other name. I forget.
I never like kept up. Did Terra Terra like break up or something? Or are they still going?
Yeah, they like fizzled out. They like broke up and then they came back with a Couch Surfer EP.
Oh,
I
that's
think.
right. Yeah.
And then like that was it.
Oh, okay.
But I think they still do stuff together. I think they still like help Emily with her stuff. But
Gotcha.
anyways, yeah, that was a local band. They were from like the Champaign area, and then they went to Chicago. And then next was Rubonic by John Rubin. I think right now would be more of an honorable mention for me. Still a decent album.
Yeah.
I grew up a fan of John Rubin, and that's probably one of his best albums. But I can't say that I like go back to it very much anymore. Next, which is definitely something I don't listen to anymore, Crooked by Propaganda. He is also another Christian hip hop artist.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, which funnily enough, I recently saw him at Audio Feed. And he's a talented guy, and I like his artistry and such, but man, I don't agree with his politics anymore.
Yeah.
I was kind of at a phase at that time where I think I was kind of in my grifting phase at that time, but just not completely.
Right.
Because like I obviously still liked what he said. I don't agree with it anymore, but like more power to him.
Yeah.
Don't listen to that music anymore. Next was Goths by the Mountain Goats.
Noise.
Which obviously it's a lot higher now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was still at the point where I was like, yeah, I'm coming around on this album, I'm starting to really like it,
Yeah, I remember you like liking it, but it was
still wasn't
definitely, I
completely
could tell it was
sold.
growing on you.
Yeah. So I'm not completely closed-minded. And next is Shelter by William McCarthy, which is interesting that I put this in my top 10 because it is more of a cover album. There are some originals. William McCarthy is the lead singer of one of my former favorite bands, Augustine's.
The Beatles?
Yeah.
McCartney?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah, Paul McCarthy. And after Augustine's broke up, this was like his first solo album. So there was a lot of recency bias. It's still a decent album, but it's not like incredible, and I haven't really listened to it that much.
I kind of forgot about Augustine's.
Yeah.
Except the last time we watched that documentary, but
Oh yeah.
yeah.
That was I had that documentary as I think my number 10 film of that year. I think that was 2019. That's the only other time we've talked about Augustine's on this show.
Yeah.
But I have, other than the first track from that album, which is I can't even remember what it's called.
Wow.
I'm blanking on it right now,
Fake
but
fan.
I've listened to that track a bunch since then, but the whole album not so much. And then next was Destroyers of the Soft Life by J. Roddy Walston and The Business. I still think it's a really solid album. I don't listen to it that much lately, but every once in a while I'll go back to some of the tracks from there. And it was just a band that I had recently discovered that year. And I actually recently was like, I wonder if they've had any music. And I looked into them, and I guess they're no longer a thing, but the lead singer has formed a new band called Palm Palm, and they have one EP out from a year or so ago, and I really like it.
Nice.
It's really good. It's only a little different from J. Roddy Walston and The Business, but yeah, I completely understand why I still have it on there. And then I'd say the next three were very much tied for that year. Melodrama by Lorde, I think is
yeah,
still,
that was that year.
Yeah, still a solid album in my opinion. Wasn't crazy about her more recent album.
Yeah,
but
sadly no one was.
Yeah, not a lot of people, but Melodrama is still great. I think it's still a standout album from that year. I was surprised that it didn't win a Grammy, but yeah. And then Sleep Well Beast from The National.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta say, I'm not really much into The National that much anymore, but I still love a lot of their old stuff. They got a new album that's coming out this year, I guess, but just a lot of their stuff is just very sleepy, and I feel like
I agree.
Sleep Well Beast was their last really good album, in my opinion. Still some solid stuff.
Yeah, they're very mellow now.
Yeah.
Mellowed out a lot.
They're sad dads now.
Yeah.
And then next would have been Gone Now by Bleachers.
Oh, okay.
I had mixed opinions about his most recent album, but I still really love Gone Now. It's a really
Is that the album where he's wearing the funny hat on the cover?
Like the uniform and everything? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. I've now listened to all of it because Abby likes that album a lot.
Oh,
so
awesome.
I've actually heard all of it now.
Oh,
and it's
nice.
really good, yeah.
It's like a really
I'd
solid
mention that
pop album.
for that year, too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
That's good. Yeah, I mean...
Can thank Abby for that. She's gotten me to listen to much more
Thank
of the
you,
Bleachers.
Abby. Good. You've done well.
Yes.
Stop Making This Hurt is just a jam, honestly.
It is.
Or wait, no, that's from the last album. What was the one? Oh, Don't Take the Money.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
really
that
good.
one.
And that also has Lord featured on it on some of the
Take them
tracks.
on it.
Yeah, and then my number one, and it's still undefeated now, Black Mile to the Surface,
Yeah.
Manchester Orchestra. I was actually listening to it the other day because they've come out with a new EP, which I've actually really grown to like.
Nice. I need to listen to it.
You should, and watch the
Because at
film,
first, because
too.
I need to watch. I think I'll try to watch it with the film first if it's like kind of built for that. Because I listened to the first single and I was like, it was like good, but I found it kind of sleepy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think I need to like.
It's definitely more of a chill. It's a chill kind of EP, which apparently they didn't really originally set out to make an EP. They're like, because I listened to an interview.
It just seems
with
like a really
Andy.
random project.
Yeah, they were like, we didn't set out to go for like any particular length. We didn't know if it was going to be a long album or an EP. So they definitely like put effort into this EP. It's not
Okay.
just a collection of 5 songs. They like really cared about this project. So I
Sweet.
definitely recommend. It is more chill, but it's still like got really interesting production that I think sets it aside from Million Masks and
Okay.
Black Mile, even though it's still kind of similar.
Gotcha.
But yeah, anyway, so I kind of started listening back to some older Manchester, and Black Mile is still
Black
my
Mile's-
favorite.
Yeah, that's always gonna be my favorite of theirs.
It's
which
like it's
I don't
a
know if
very
that's a hot
important
take
album.
amongst their hardcore fans, but
I think a lot of people love this album.
yeah, I just think it's like, especially for just the sentiment of that time, it's just like I do wonder. I'm like, would I have been like as obsessed with the album as I was if I was just like discovered it on my own and like wasn't like we weren't like doing the band and stuff? Because I think it's just like the time. It was just perfect timing.
Yeah.
That album, you know. And,
Yeah,
like,
it's got a lot of sentimentality
Yeah.
stuck with it.
it's very just. Yeah, it just remains like a weirdly inspirational album, and I just
Yeah.
love the sound of it. And Million Masks was good, but I did feel like it was just kind of like
Sort of a
like
sort
at
of
the end, it's a very
rehash.
similar album, but
Yeah.
I don't know why
It has its differences for sure.
yeah,
But
it's just slightly less interesting than Black Mile.
yeah, I think what Black Mile has going for it is that it was such a fresh thing for
Yeah.
Manchester. It was such a new thing.
It's had a very grand feel to it too.
Yeah.
Like I think maybe Million Masks was like a little more mellow than I would like, but yeah, Black Mile it's just so much emotion. I
Yeah.
just love the production of it. It's like very straightforward, you know. But yeah, that album is it still holds up so much to me.
Yeah, definitely. It's probably in like a top 10 of all time albums for me.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly where it would be, but yeah, it's still a very important album for me. So of course it was my number one. I found more of an updated list that I did like a couple of years later. That feels it makes a bit more sense to me now. And I'll just briefly just kind of go through it. Going from 10 to 1. 2 Parts Viper by 68. Mercury and Lighting by John Mark McMillan, which I guess I hadn't listened to
Wait,
yet.
2
at the
Parts
time.
Viper was 2017?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see I would totally put that as like a favorite of that year.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. That's
a really
great,
good
I
one.
love that album.
Yeah, and then Flesh Eater by Bradley Hathaway. Bradley Hathaway he's like a spoken word guy. He was Levi the Poet before Levi the Poet, and Flesh Eater is it was a really good album. And then Go Farther in Lightness by Gang of Youths. I obviously hadn't been into Gang of Youths at the time, but I am now, and I do really like that album. And then I still had Shelter by William McCarthy on there. And then Goths, Melodrama, Sleep Well Beast, Gone Now, and then Black Mile. So
Nice.
not too different, but a little different.
Yeah.
Also, I guess music that I liked at the time. Where'd it go? The Oh Hellos had a couple EPs out at the time called Notos and Eurus. And it's kind of like,
The Oh Hellos.
yeah.
Trying to remember. I know them. I'm just trying to remember like music by them that I've listened to.
They did Dear Wormwood, Hello My Old Heart. They're folksy kind of
Oh,
group.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm recognizing it.
Yeah, they had 2 EPs out, which I think altogether they released 4 for that same project. Really good stuff. And then Levi the Poet, speaking of which, had a couple singles from his upcoming album that year called Cataracts. I don't remember exactly what singles they were. Also, an artist that I like called Tyson Motzenbacher
Oh,
had
yeah.
a couple.
I remember him.
Yeah, I've mentioned it a few times on this show.
Yeah.
He had a couple EPs out at the time that I was really enjoying. And then Shaky Graves had been releasing some singles for Can't Wake Up.
Was that 2017?
2018.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
so
that would be like...
the full album hadn't come out yet, but a couple singles had.
That would
so,
probably be like my second favorite of 2018.
Yeah,
Like if
it
Me
might
With
be
That
my
You didn't
number
put,
one, honestly.
If Me With That You didn't release music that year, it would have been number one.
Yeah.
That album is so good.
Yeah, it might be my number
Their new
one.
stuff is really good too.
Yeah.
That I didn't know what an anthology album was, so I thought it was just gonna be like live versions and altered, but I was like, oh, there's like new songs on here.
Oh, okay.
And they're
I actually
really-
need to listen to it.
They're very some of them are very Can't Wake Up vibes.
Nice.
But they're really good. It's like
Okay.
it's actually like a great album.
Cool.
Just like to listen through. It's a lot. There's actually a good amount of new songs on it.
Can't Wake Up is definitely another important album. For
Yeah,
me.
I love Can't Wake Up.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And then Lord Huron had been releasing some singles for Vide Noir at the time.
I remember
So-
really liking that album, but I don't really go back to it.
Me neither.
It's got a few.
I like
It's
Lord
got a couple
Huron.
bangers.
Yeah.
That's it though.
Yeah.
Gets a little
So
boring.
that was the music that I was liking from 2018. And then, funnily enough, I was also suspicious that a new Mumford & Sons album was coming out.
Oh yeah.
So we both had like our suspicions that was
Did Delta
true.
release in 2018?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. It
Yeah, which
was a good year for us.
it was a good year.
More so
don't-
me, because I, know
don't-
you don't like love Delta or anything. But
Yeah, I think Delta used to be my number one from that year. I don't know if it would be now, but I still really like it. It's still like a good album, but it wasn't their best. I had a little bit more cause to be suspicious that it was coming out because Mumford & Sons had been posting updates that they were in the studio and such.
Yeah.
They just hadn't made an official announcement that anything was coming out. So
Yeah.
I was like, I think it's going to be this year. you
It's
know?
happening.
Yeah. So 2018 was a good year. I wish that we had some sort of podcast from that year.
Yeah, that would have
but
been like a good episode.
we would have been very
It just-
excited
It
and
would have just been
happy.
us geeking out.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's us reacting to our lists from 2017.
Nice.
I hope this is interesting to some people. I feel like this might be more interesting than our last one, where we just kind of talked about stuff that no one knew anything about.
True.
Like things that were more personal to us, like shows that we did. Like no one knows anything about this.
Yeah, that's true.
But this might be a little bit more interesting to people.
Yeah, it's more like a retrospective thing.
Yeah,
on
and
like a
it's-
certain year.
Yeah, and anyone who likes our top 10 list could still enjoy it, especially since we're going to have the version where I edit in clips of the music that we're talking about, be more interesting to people. And we
True.
also have this to make it seem still more special.
Yeah.
Like where it's current us talking about stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I don't know. Any additional thoughts?
No.
Cool. We'll probably do something like this again. I want to do something about related to Talk the Pulse, but we'll give it some time. You know, don't want to keep bombarding people with like, give us more followers or whatever. You know, give
Right.
people a little bit of a break. But I mean, if you guys would be down for something like that, let us know. You know, so. This isn't really a normal episode, so do we want like a recommendation? We don't normally do that for episodes like this.
Nah.
Okay,
We'll make the exception.
cool. Well, congratulations again, guys. Thanks for your help for getting this podcast out there. We hope that you enjoyed this little gift that we have given you. And
Goodbye.
yeah, bye. Thanks for checking out this episode of the Podwood Forecast. If you liked what you heard, be sure to subscribe. And if you'd like for us to give you a shout out on the show, be sure to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And also feel free to look in the show notes for links to our social media at Twitter and Facebook. And as always, stay beautiful, and thanks for listening.